Hello, Neil. We are back. The guitar is probably it's probably getting compressored pretty hard, but no, that's not how you play that, I don't think. That sounds bad. Yeah, it's probably. Sorry, it's just dude, that song from Railroads. I forgot about it, man. It makes you want to jam. This one right here, right? Right? Like. Dude, it's a jammer. It's a jammer. Yeah, it's gonna get hit by the gate. It happens. Probably stop. Alright, welcome to Space News. It's Space News time. Let's do this. Dude, Ice can rip, dude. That's pretty good stuff. Hold on. That part where he changes the key, like hold on. Hold on. Right here. Next part. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. EJ's Shred and Riffing Review. That's right. Okay, let's get some space news links together and go from there. Yes, there's the systems architecture stuff from yesterday. I'm not going to read that no more. No more. No more. No more. No, there was no way. All right, let's get the links from Creeper. Creeper, thank you for providing a lot of these. Now is the time to share your space news links. If you want a story to be shown on Space News and discussed, now is the time. There's actually a good amount in the news cycle today. We got stuff from Orion. We got stuff from Dave Limp. We got stuff from VAST. There's stuff from Launch Services Program, LSP for short. Yeah. EGS, which is pretty cool. NASA EGS, that's good stuff. That's good stuff. That's pretty neat. Creeper, thank you for compiling all these links here. We have bananas. Yep, the news today will be bananas. Man, now I want to jam, dude. Now I want to jam. All right. Ooh, thousands. You got something from RFA. Oh, very nice. Very nice. Vargon, you got an Ars Techniker article. There's the Daily Eric Berger Digest. The Daily Royale with cheese. Okay. All right. Is that a yinger that I see? No. No, this is a Fago. Perks of marrying a Michigander, dude. Eric QPC, that's right. Royale with cheese. When do we think we can see docking between two starships, Horizon? Probably a year from now, maybe a little less. I thought breakfast was open till 11. Only if you don't use your caps lock key, Mason. Ah, sorry. Sorry, bud. Sorry about that. Haven 1's primary structural qualification article has officially completed its final weld. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Here, check this out. Great to see. You will never underestimate the near invisible threat. Oh, Vast is talking about MMOD stuff. Here. Let's see. Ready to see stuff pop? All right, let's see stuff pop. Boom. Oh! I'm really excited. I want my pancakes. Oh, yeah. So Vast, this is some kinetic testing here for their micrometeorite debris shield for the Haven 1 module. Vast is working on commercial space station modules. The Haven... That's nice. That's nice. Looks like they... Yeah, this is... They're still welding it all together. Pretty cool. First, direct GEO injection from Falcon 9 with the extended mission platform second stage. The booster rolled out in front of the NSF cam earlier today with a great pain over the second stage. Yeah, that happens. Cool. All right. We're going to get through the quick stuff. That's awesome. So Vast is looking at making commercial space stations and eventually building a gigantic one utilizing most likely Starship. But we'll see. This is coming from John Gedmark. So this is Astranis now. Our next 4 satellites are ready for launch. They're at Cape Canaveral, getting integrated into a dedicated Falcon 9 rocket. Yeah, Astranis. Sweet. America. Folks, if your neighbor is an engineer at Vast, tell him Max Hood is a pretty cool dude. He's a pretty chill guy. These are about the size of a fridge. Yeah. Cool. That clean room is very clean, dude. What's stir welding? Oh. Stir welding is basically how rocket fuel tanks get welded together in kind of this day and age. It's kind of the industry standard. Basically you have a really sophisticated drill. And on the end of the drill, you basically have a slug. It looks just basically, it's kind of cork shaped almost, like just a cylinder of like tungsten or something. And that's called a stir head. Basically what that does, here, let me go back to Vast. I'll show you. This is super interesting. So I don't know if they're stir welding that actually now that I'm looking at it. That looks to be TIG welded. But anyway, you butt up 2 plates of aluminum like this, right? And that tungsten stir head, once again, it's on a drill. It moves, right? And basically, when you butt the 2 plates together, they move the rotating head over the seam between the 2 pieces, right? The friction that's generated there is enough heat to... It induces enough heat into the aluminum tray to actually mix it together. Kind of like mixing cake batter. Think about it like that. It introduces enough heat to actually basically weld the aluminum together, right? So now why would you do that? Well, if you have a TIG welded design like this, you're introducing, you can see their feed rod right there. That's how I could tell that it's TIG. There's a feed rod. You see that little thing on the side? They're feeding rod into a pool of weld that's being arced from a tungsten tip to the aluminum, right? At least that's what I think. That's what I think is going on there. And see that lays a bead. See the bead right there? You can see it. It's that little line, that little seam right there. Now this is a cheaper way of doing it, and this does work. It's tried and tested. But stir welding, right? Stir welding doesn't actually introduce any new material. It basically stirs the aluminum together. Like it mixes it, like once again, like a cake. Now, you're not introducing any rod or any flux core or anything to the weld. And the result is those two panels that have basically been stir welded together, they are a lot stronger and lighter because you're not introducing more stuff into it, right? They're way stronger. Falcon 9 uses stir welding. SLS uses stir welding. New Glenn uses stir welding. Vulcan uses stir welding. New Shepard definitely uses stir welding. That doesn't. I thought that was a stir welder, but it's not. That's a TIG welder. That's a TIG welder on an arm. So basically what the TIG welder stays in position, and the whole module is on a gigantic rotisserie, and it rotates, and the thing just keeps welding it as it rotates by. Starship is not stir welded. You can stir weld stainless steel, but they don't do that as far as I can tell. With stainless, they're TIG welding it too. With stainless and aluminum, now why would you TIG as opposed to anything else? Like, why aren't we MIG welding stuff? MIG welding introduces way too much heat into aluminum and stainless. So you really wouldn't want to do that. Stir welding is actually low heat. It's just enough to get it to mix together to be one piece. The molecular structure of the aluminum actually doesn't change when you stir weld too. That's another point. You can stir weld stainless. I know you can. I'm not sure about the applications there in aerospace engineering. I do not think SpaceX is stir welding their stainless steel together. I think the stainless steel is too thin. Starship with its stainless steel design is 4 millimeters. So that maybe a quarter at best. Like if you have a quarter, maybe a little thicker than that. That's right. Starship is that thin. You cannot stir weld that. You'll blow right through it. You'll introduce way too much heat, way too fast, and you'll melt the metal. Chicken. Yeah, right. Yeah, 4 mil, you can't stir weld that. The aluminum, the stir welded aluminum that like Falcon or Vulcan or whatever uses is a little thicker because it has the ISO grid built into the design. The fuel tanks for structure have stuff like this. This is called an ortho grid, not an ISO grid. See this stuff? It's billet. So basically they started with a flat piece of aluminum that was about this, like maybe an inch thick, about 25 millimeter. And then they put it on a gigantic CNC machine, and the CNC machine end mill basically dug all this out right here like this, and then it moved to the next one and just kept going around and around. That's why you see these kind of weird spiraling things going on here. From there, they put it in a metal brake, a gigantic metal brake that just basically keeps stamping the thing, and it'll get it to actually curve. And then they weld the curves together. Well, if it was like ULA or SpaceX or something, they'd be stir welding it. But looks like Vast, once again, TIG welded this together. Because there's clearly a bead, and it looks like rolling dimes right there, which is definitely TIG. But the billet part and the milling part is the same. It's a very similar process. So point is that the aluminum is way thicker than the stainless that Starship is using. Guys, Starship is totally uncharted territory. Stir welding aluminum has been well documented. Believe it or not, stir welding, the first people to use stir welding, the first entity to use stir welding in the application of aerospace was NASA. NASA figured out that you could stir weld shuttle external tanks, and you could save like 2,000 to 3,000 pounds of weld by doing it that way. That's how they introduced the the SWLT, basically the Block 2 external tank, SLWT, super lightweight tank, which basically was served from the early 2000s all the way to the end of the program. Yeah, you saved a lot of mass on that external tank. The first external tank was way heavier. STS-1ZT was way heavier than STS-135s, like way more mass. Billet mentioned. Yep. Yeah, see? Look, 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 look. Oh, they didn't expect us to see this. That's definitely a TIG weld. See that? Oh, that's so cool. That's an IR image of the TIG weld. Oh, dude, that's rolling dimes, baby. Look at that thing. Really roll. That's a really nice weld. Really nice. So, okay, you have your cup right here, right? And then inside of there is a tungsten rod. TIG, TIG weld, tungsten inert gas. Inside of this cup, argon flows through it. Or it could be CO2, argon mix. It really depends on what you're welding and how you're welding it. So there, long story short, there's non-reactive gas being flowed through this cup. There's like an injector here that shoots that gas into this area, into a plenum right here. It shoots out the front of the cup, and basically you could barely see it, but there's an arc right there. It's hard to tell, but you can see it. Well, you could definitely see the arc there. And what they're doing is they're feeding the welding rod through the arc. When it hits the arc, it instantly melts and it drips onto the two sheets of aluminum, and it basically makes a pool of weld between the two plates, and that's what holds them together. If anybody's familiar with soldering, TIG welding is just soldering for grown-ups. Not that soldering is for kids, but you get the idea. If you can get the feed right on the rod with TIG, you can make it look like a nice, it'll basically look like a bunch of quarters, or, well, in this case, dimes. They say rolling dimes. It looks like if you just have a bunch of quarters in a row, that's what it'll look like. That's how you know it looks, that's how you know it's good. I'm trying to see if I have any change lying around on my desk. I only have 25 cents. Got more change in the house, though. And I do have some other currency over here, guys, but I don't think you guys accept this. And it's really not a lot. Anyone accept the currency? No? All right. So anyway, yeah, that's definitely TIG. You can TIG stainless, but you cannot TIG. You can't stir weld stainless that's that thin. Oh, who's here?
You tighten one?
I can tighten all day. Hello, buddy. Hey.
After you left, you very loudly reminded me he had not been out to see you yet today.
Oh. Well, he doesn't seem very interested in me.
No,
hey.
You know, maybe I just wanted to.
Title. Titan, come here. Come here. Come see Daddy. Come here. Don't you want the pets? Don't you want the pets?
No, I want to sniff.
Okay, fine. Go sniff. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
All right. See you, baby. Titan wasn't very social today. Chat says hi, by the way. Bree says hi, chat. Oh, sweetheart, real quick. How much? You have 2,100 hours watching Twitch this year? How much of that was me? Oh. Okay, I'll get back to you. Okay, zippity-doo-dah. Zip it in and zip it out. Okay, zippity-doo-dah. How much?
1,056.
Okay.
What are you doing?
I streamed 2,300 hours this year. 284 days.
Oh, we're shut-ins.
Yeah, so?
We should touch grass more.
I tried to touch grass today and it was mud.
That's true.
So, screw you, nature.
Tighten.
You don't look as sexy on Twitch as in censored. I don't know what that means, Q, but all right. I did good this year. Only 420 hours, with 320 of them being me. All right. Check DMs when available. I see it, S, but I have to. You have to upload it because I need to move it from one computer to another. Yeah, I had, for the Twitch recap, real quick, guys, before we jump into the rest of the space news, I had, you guys, cumulative watch hours on this channel totaled over 1.1 million hours this year. Wow. Wow. Yeah. You touched the same Florida grass, if you want to call it that. Yeah, yeah. Okay, Black Eagle, we can see you the entire time, bud. Yeah. Anyway. Gee, if you ran some ads, fine. Guess what? Ads right in the middle of it. There you go. There. Play that damn game with me. I see it as. Thank you. Pretty happy with this shot. Excited for more. So sweet. We got space station modules being made. Astranis is launching stuff. We'll see that in a second when the ad break comes back.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
125 years worth of content watched last year. Ads in 2024, no way, man. 2, I'll be honest with you. I don't run ads all the time. In fact, I hate running ads. The only reason why I did that is to spike chat. But I generally don't like ruining my streaming, your experience here on my stream with intrusive ads. In fact, I shy away from them as much as possible. I did that to spite Cold Tech. Yeah, not gonna lie to you. Not gonna lie to you. Yeah. Anyway. Wait. I don't even know if 2 can hear me because he might be watching ads. Oh, the other thing I gotta do is we gotta get the Starbase Live background noise in so the headset doesn't shut off. Don't you still get paid for the ads the subs don't see, though? I don't know. You can? Oh, alright, cool. Yeah, dude, I hate ads. I can't stand them. Dude, I got enough on my plate here. Trying to keep the stream going. I don't need, like... It's hard enough to keep people's attention. Ads do the opposite of that. They do not help for retention in any way, shape, or form. Really stupid, actually. Anyway. Let's check this out. This is coming from S-Master here. What do we have here? What do we have here? It looks like some Booster 14 static fire action. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Oh, very nice. Would I be able to make you a new Starship Block 2 model? A lot of people want to make 3D prints for me, dude. I'll see what I can see. Are these Raptor 1s or 2s? These are Raptor 2s. Raptor 1s haven't flown in a long time, King. Yeah, a real long time. Anyway. Alright. So, good shot, S. That's actually very beautiful composition. I do like it. Let me just take a look. Did I hear something about 3D prints? Yes. Cirrus redeemed ad time. Yeah, well, if Cirrus told you to jump off a bridge, Coltech, would you? I can't run ads again. I just ran them. You can't run them back to back like that, dude. So, sorry, Cirrus. I think, like, I'm trying. Oh, hang on one second. I'll be right back. We're all set. Okay. Damn it, weather guy. Anyway. All right, so let's get to the next bit here. This is coming from NASA Launch Services Program.
Oh, this is space. I'm in space.
Ja! Gifted a sub to Danny Jig. Danny Jigs, how you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Vincent LaGuardia Gambini, how you doing? See last. No. This too. You. Butt munch. Butt dumpling. What do you want me to see? Nice Die Hard shirt? Yeah, no, I figure it was good to wear a Christmas shirt, you know? It is. Shut up. It's my stream. If you don't think it is, you're wrong. See, Christmas shirt. Frickin' California.
Oh, this is space. I'm in space.
Nova gifted a sub to Schlatt. Oh. You gifted a sub to Schlatt? Is that really him? Dude, he's gonna be like, who the frick did I get gifted a sub to? Who the frick? Sorry, he sounds like Joe Pesci in my mind, even though they don't sound anything alike. It ain't Christmas until Hans Gruber falls off the tower. That's right. Ja, hey, 1,000 bits. Thanks, man. Who is... Don't worry about it, Varkor. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. All right. YouTube doesn't want you to talk about bananas.
Oh, this is space. I'm in
RC
space.
gifted 10 subs. Thank you very much, man. All right. This is coming from NASA Launch Services Program. Let's see what we got. Wait, what is that? Oh, no. I have more notifications in there than usual. Clicking on it. Oh. Okay. No, we're good. All right. Die Hard is a Christmas movie. Thank you. And even if you don't think it is, I don't care. You can get fricked. This is my stream. Go away. On your stream, it can be anything else. If you disagree, I don't care. Most of you seem to agree, though, so I'm moving on. RC, thank you for the 10. And Ja, thank you for the 1,000 bits. I do appreciate it. So, launch update. NASA and SpaceX are targeting late February 2025 for the launch of the agency's next astrophysics observatory, SPHEREx. Will launch aboard a Falcon 9 from Vandenberg. All right. What's SPHEREx? Let's go. NASA and SpaceX are targeting late February 2025 for the launch of the agency's next astrophysics observatory, SPHEREx. Short for spectrophotometer for the history of the universe. Oh, you... Spectrophotometer for history of the universe, epoch of reionization, and ISIS Explorer. Commas in our backronyms. We'll launch on a Falcon 9. About the size of a subcompact car, SPHEREx will enter a polar orbit around Earth and create a map of the entire sky in 3D, taking images in every direction, like scanning the inside of a globe. Zucha, 4-month resub, thank you. The map will contain hundreds of millions of stars and galaxies, showing them in 102 colors. All right. Scientists will use SPHEREx's all-sky map to achieve the mission's 3 key science goals. The first is to shed light on a cosmic phenomenon called inflation. A brief but powerful cosmic event when space increased in size by a trillion fold, less than a second after the Big Bang. The observatory will measure the distribution of hundreds of millions of galaxies to improve understanding of what drove inflation and the physics behind this event. Well, maybe they needed toilet paper. Cool. All right. Another LSP contract awarded to SpaceX. That's cool. February 2025 is actually not that far away. Can I blame the cosmos for my egg prices? Moving on. All right. All right. Dave Limp. This is coming from Dave Limp, Dave Limp, Dave Limp, Dave Limp. He is the CEO of Blue Origin, and I don't say his name 3 times fast for any particular reason. I just like doing it. Dave Limp, Dave Limp. Another good morning at the Cape. GS2 tanking test is done. Nominal across the board. All right. Blue Origin filled up New Glenn's second stage, GS2, with fuel today. Another step in the process towards the first New Glenn launch, which should, Jeb willing, should be by the end of the year, hopefully. Christmas is in 15 days. I got my Christmas shopping done. Okay. I sound like I got my Christmas shopping done, Clayton. Does that help? Fingers crossed there is, it's all right. All right, cool. So yeah, we'll see what's good. All right, I'm looking at Starbase Lab for a second. Okay, cool. What's Christmas? Moving on. Orion spacecraft. The team is pushing ahead with Artemis II. Vacuum chamber testing complete, crew module batteries installed, and a solar array wing installation on deck. This is in the Neil A. Armstrong Operations and Checkout building at Kennedy Space Center. This is the vacuum chamber that's there. And it looks like we got another spacecraft coming in the pipe. Pretty good. This is the first capsule. If everything goes to plan, this will be the first capsule to move humans outside of low Earth orbit since December of 1972. Yeah, I think it's missing some pieces right now though, but you could always put those pieces on. It's fine. Cool. Good stuff. That way is north, by the way. You mean Polaris down? No. I don't, 1000. Listen to what I said again before you try to be my Google helpful assistant or something, okay? I don't mean Polaris Dawn. Polaris Dawn didn't leave low Earth orbit. 1972. It's shameful that it's been that long. Yeah, we talked a lot about that yesterday. Don't need to rehash that. It just don't give you the scale of how big that thing is. Yeah, but maybe this will. All right. Raising the bar. Exploration ground system teams attached 2 vehicle assembly building cranes to the Artemis II SLS core stage, one on either end, and lifted it in the horizontal position. The 156-foot tall low bay crane attaches to the aft end of the core stage. The 460-foot tall high bay crane attaches to the spider, which is this hat-looking thing. Forward interface with the core stage. High Bay 2 will support completion of the vertical work on the core stage before it is stacked on the mobile launcher in High Bay 3. This allows teams to continue solid rocket booster stacking in High Bay 3 simultaneously. Yeah, baby. Dude, look at those. Look at the freaking bars, man. Those D-rings, though. Hello. Oh, that's sick, dude. Yeah, they're going to turn this thing vertical and put it into High Bay 2 on a Futuramic jig that's back there. We looked at this thing yesterday. They're going to stack it in there. See the jig, like I said, you can see, look, you see the blue up there? It goes a lot higher than what they showed in the pictures. They're going to stack this thing up there to work on final processing before they stack. Which is very interesting to me, considering they're stacking Artemis II, but delayed it till 2026. I'm just not entirely sure why you would stack a rocket when you don't need to launch it for 18 months. But, who knows? This once again shows that SLS is not the bottleneck in NASA's spaceflight architecture, which is not something I had on my bingo card. If they stacked SLS at full speed, how long would you say it would take? Super, if all the parts were there, they could probably get it done in a week. Yeah, a week. Maybe a little bit more. Maybe 2 weeks if you really want to be absolutely sure. Total guess, under promise, over deliver. Most likely not, though. Why are there stairs? For when the core is vertical, you can get at the D-rings here to, they're not called that, but you can get at these things to, Storm? You can get at those things to undo it, undo the rigging. Yeah, it's for when it's vertical. Clevis? Yeah. Yeah, I guess you could call it that. I think they're planning to launch earlier. They just said 2026 as a precaution in case anything else comes up. That generally isn't how NASA works, but all right. It still looks very unfinished. That core stage is actually pretty complete. Yeah, that thing is pretty dang completed. All the SRB parts are there, guys. All the solid rocket boosters are there. Like, all the parts are at the Cape. Everything is there. The vehicle stage adapter is there. The interim cryogenic propulsion stage, serial number 2, is there. Orion is there. You just saw a picture of it. It's in pieces, but it's there. Shackles, that's what they are, yeah. It could be how NASA works when Jared takes over, no? Possibly, sure. They show another photo in a different photo. Do they? Perhaps this one? Oh, hell yeah. That's a sweet picture. Yowza. Woof. Woof. That's awesome. Yeah, dude, that thing is pretty good to go. Yeah, that core looks... That core looks pretty good, actually. Everything seems to be there. These open pieces right here, that's where the SRBs attach. Yeah, everything's there. How many scrubs do you think Artemis II will get? A lot less than 1. Yeah, that thing's pretty good to go, dudes. That's awesome. That's really cool to see. You'd love to see it, Revue. You're right. You'd love to see it. Not a lot of room between the floor and the engine bells. David, there's probably about a meter. Those engines are actually more than a meter off the ground. It's just the scale of the VAB throwing you off. The RS-25s are gigantic. They're huge. Big engines. Yeah, this guy being in the foreground makes you think that they're maybe like this far off the ground, when in reality they're about that far off the ground. I'm telling you, it's just an optical illusion. The nozzle, if you've ever seen the nozzle on one of these motors, it is... Yeah, not small. You can easily stand up inside of one of these things. Horse perspective. 2D photo. They might be... Yeah, oh, actually, look. Look at that dude. Look at the dude right there. Look at his knees. Yeah, dude, those motors are like a meter off the...
The Eagle has landed.
Happy holidays, bud.
Happy holidays, Gary.
Oh, this is space. I'm in space.
Thanks, Gary. Okie gifted 20. Thank you guys. Happy holidays, bud. To you too. Thank you. Have you played the new Starbase simulator? No, I haven't. Anyway, those core stage engines are a little higher off the ground than what this picture shows. It's just the scale of SLS. Have you seen what Chiquita posted? Yes, I have. Yep. That's a stupid hat. But this is how I charge my batteries. You're a stupid hat. How's the reception on that thing? Excellent. That was not necessarily... It's a unique hat. I meant him, not you. Oh. What do you think those bananas are for? Space, obviously. That's a I want to get bullied hat? Look, man. Do I look like the kind of melon farmer that didn't get bullied in high school? Being the way I am? I'm used to it. It's fine. I stream for a living. Look at this bully. Please no bully. Anyway. Gary, thank you very much, man. From the bottom of my heart, I appreciate it, dude. Thank you very much for being here. Teaching me about planes. We're going to dump into Flight Simulator again. I don't know when that's going to happen, but soon. Yeah, Cygnus hat. Flight 7 is no earlier than January. I don't think bananas last that long. What are you, bananaist? You still get bullied for a living. Yeah, I know. This time I make money off of it, though, so it's fine. Let's go. I'll be here. All right, man. Cool. Thank you very much. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year, dude. You know how it'd be. I appreciate it, man. Thank you. Thank you. It's been... With KSP's catastrophic implosion, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like it hasn't been a little difficult this year. But hey, your boy's resilient. Thank you. And Hokey, thank you for the 20-pack. Actually, Actually, here's how we're gonna roll for the rest of the stream. Ready? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh right. Yeah. G for Gary. Okay. Merry Christmas. Now face the wall. And anyway, core stage 2 is brought vertical. They're gonna put it in high bay 2 for final vertical processing while they stack the rest. Yeah. I think the SLS people are trying to show everybody that they're not the bottleneck. And I really don't think that they are. Guys, once you know, we've talked about that many times, so I won't go too far, I swear. Well, once you get everything up and running, dude, this thing is, you can make a lot more for not a lot of money. Like, look, man, how long did it take to build the first one? Right? How long did it take to build the second one? The first one, SLS started what, 2013? First core stage launched in 2022. Second one is here just 2 years later. So we went from 8 years to 2. See what I'm talking about? 3 is going to be even quicker. 4 is going to be even quicker than that. If we buy more of them, they'll come at you quicker. You can scale. We want this. We want that. That's what you want. That's a good thing. I want SpaceX to do that, and I want NASA to do that. And that's all I have to say about that. Speaking of Artemis, here, let's go to the next bit of news here. Media. We will be hosting a teleconference on December 17th to discuss the NASA science on board of the upcoming Firefly mission to the moon as part of our Artemis campaign. The Blue Ghost lunar lander will launch on a SpaceX rocket from NASA Kennedy in mid-January. Dude, quarter 1 2025 is going to be lit. And you know how awesome it has to be for me to use that freaking word? This is going to be great. Lunar rovers, starships, SPHEREx. This is going to be fantastic. All systems are go for a mysterious journey. Destination classified. #SpaceX. Yeah, I have Starbase live noises on in the background so my headset doesn't time out, dude. Go to the hidden replies. No. It's going to be a moon landing every week. Good. I'm in. Let's go. No cap, France. That's right. What is the production rate of the RS-25E and how many have been built? They have test mules ready. They're going to enter production very soon, Jim. As far as I know. Those are bananas, by the way. You know what? I'm going to do this. Just go into the hidden replies. How much Twitter do you use, Baron, to get into the hidden replies? Ah, here we go. DK! Donkey Kong! Donkey Kong is here! No? You know Rareware made that game? DKC, man. It's a big deal when it came out. Just saying. Okay. All right, shut it down. Yep. Okay. So, yeah. We got lunar landers, we got probes going out, we got starships going out. This is going to be great. Next bit here is coming from Rocket Factory Augsburg. Day 10 of our Rocket Factory Advent. RFA is all about pragmatism and hands-on. We like to get our hands dirty, prefer to test hardware rather than simulate, and find creative and, above all, cost-effective solutions to technical challenges. An example? A few years ago, we wanted to qualify our newly developed turbopump. It runs at a number of revolutions that we happened to find on a used helicopter engine on the internet. So we bought it, fine-tuned the transmission ratio, and used it to qualify our turbopump. To this day, we carry out acceptance tests on our turbopumps with this setup before they are installed on Helix. Cost-effective, pragmatic, RFA, explosions. Guys, I'm not trying to be mean. I like RFA, and I like how they're very open about this stuff, but also, didn't they have a fire in one of their impellers because of cavitation? Like, yeah, Badger, you know what? It's probably for the better. Yeah, it's probably for the better. Yeah, but at the time you figured it was a head pressure issue. Yeah. I mean, it's the only thing we can really think of, Oculus. They don't have good... They weren't making good head pressure. That's the only way cavitation gets caused, unless you shock spin the impeller, but who knows? Or is it something else? It could be something else. You know what else is something else? This. Equatorial launch Australia to move space support to Queensland. Oh. Equatorial Launch Australia, ELA, today announced the decision to immediately cease operations of the Artemis Space Center in Northern Territory and relocate the spaceport to a new site in Queensland. The decision has been forced by the inability of the company to finalize a lease for the expansion of the Artemis Space Center. The lease approval process had been in progress formally for just under 3 years. Formal application on the 1st of January 2022. The decision came after the Northern Land Council, NLC, failed to meet its own specified deadline for the approval of the head lease for the fourth time over the last 12 months in October 2024. Possible goalie, yeah. The decision has been forced by the inability of the company to finalize the lease for the expansion of the Artemis Space Center. The decision came after Northern Land Council failed to meet its own specified deadline for the approval of the head lease for the fourth time over the last 12 months. That's not how you do that. Despite desperate appeals from ELA, the Northern Territory Minister's Department and the Gamage Corporation since February... What the heck? Despite desperate appeals from the ELA, the Northern Territory Chief Minister's Department and the Gamage Corporation since February 2024, the NLC would not issue a head... Is that a sentence? Who wrote this? Maybe if I read it in Australian. All right. Despite desperate appeals from ELA, the Northern Territory Chief Minister's Department, and the Gamage Corporation since February 2024, the NLC would not issue a head lease or provide any official reasons for the delays. Nope, still didn't work. Still didn't work. That sentence doesn't make sentence. Perfection. Give me the real accent. No, the real accent. Perfection. Okay. The Gamadij are ELA's direct landlord for the existing site and are the traditional owners and operators of the adjacent, disused bauxite mine on the Gov Peninsula, the site that ELA had requested for a spaceport expansion. All right. I'm starting to run out of locations that I know here, so we're going to have to... Gov Peninsula. Bauxite mines and an airport. Hi, I want to pay money to use your land to build a spaceport. I will pay you. No. Okay. Dude. Bauxite. Very nice. Conveyor belts. That's a long freaking conveyor belt. Dang, that goes all the way to the port over there. So, somebody wanted to build a rocket launch complex here, and then they said no. So they moved over here to Queensland, which is over here. See the spot that says Queensland? That could be anywhere here. What's that? What's this? Looks like Maz. I'm taking my ball and going home. I guess. Anyway, the continued delays from the NLC have made the existence of the spaceport in the Northern Territory challenging, and the most recent delay to late 2025 to allow construction with traditional owner groups had the potential to put the ELA in breach of contractual obligations with launch clients and jeopardize a previously secured major funding round. Yikes. Working with the Queensland government, ELA has identified a potential alternative site and have commenced planning with regulatory clearances for contracted launches in Q3 2025. The new site, named the Australian Space Centre, Cape York, trademark, will be at W Place in Queensland. Oh, look. More bauxite mines. Excuse me. Wenlock. ELA is saddened that more than $100 million investment it was making into the East Arnhem region and the projected $3.6 billion in direct economic stimulus, local job creation, support and motivation for local and regional students in STEM projects, and the long-term opportunities that were forecast over the life of the proposed lease will no longer materialize. Dude, they dropped $100 million and got nothing out of it? Yo, they got a word for that. They got a word for that. It's called racketeering. Yeah, no, it's good when they do it, though. Oh, it looks good on you, though. Sure. Wow. Is the Queensland site near Gilmore? Oh, I'm not sure. I can't believe that. I'd be freaking pissed. What the heck's wrong with these people? Well, they said it's going to be over here. Dude, I've said it once, I'll say it again. This is prime. I actually wouldn't launch from up here due to the proximity of Port Moresby over there. To be 100% real, but... Actually, let me see. Yeah, I would not do that. That is... The boosters, if you were launching orbital from here, would land somewhere right here. You don't want that. Right here, basically in Townsville, would probably be your best shot. That has a huge range right there, and you are 19 degrees inclined. That's better than Kennedy Space Center, believe it or not. Not a lot of people know that. You know, you think, oh, Australia, it's too far south. That's 19 degrees south latitude. That's really good. I mean, ideally, this would be the better launch site at 10 degrees south up here. But once again, proximity to New Guinea is probably bad. You know, I mean, I'm sure they'd be pissed off having rocket stages come down around here. Predominant, are you here? What's this border? Why is it showing a border there? Where are we? Port Moresby. I was going to say, is it still Australia's or something? That doesn't look like a city border. This was all Australia at one point, guys. Yeah. Australia had all of this out here before World War II. That changed after World War II. No, it doesn't. I don't know if it's a city border or not, dude. Maybe regions or something? It seemed to be a local border. It's not a country border, so no, it's not. It's a provincial border. Yeah, there you go. Cool. Yeah, state region border. It's the same as these ones here. Got it. Cool. Yeah, the Coral Sea happened because of Port Moresby. Yeah, that was kind of a big deal. Kind of a big deal. Coral Sea, Solomon Islands campaign in World War II. Yeah, all of this. Yeah, we were duking it out with the Japanese here. Because the Allies didn't want them to take Port Moresby. If they took Port Moresby, the next step would have been an amphibious invasion of Queensland. Yeah, that's what they would have done. Thankfully, that never happened. Anyway, cool. All right, excellent. Okay. Here, let's check this. I got a little bit more here. Rocket Lab is scheduled to launch another haste launch between December 14th and 20th. Additionally, on their latest haste launch, they tested Neutron's hippo fairing. According to air traffic management website Cadena OIS, Rocket Lab is scheduled to launch a mission called Stonehenge in a window opening on December 14th through the 20th from Wallops. This mission would be the 57th and the upcoming announcement. The 57th and the upcoming announced for Synspective would be 58th, which is consistent with the naming of the patch file in Rocket Lab's website, which also indicated Flight 58. Rocket Lab also recently published a press release for their latest haste launch under the Mach-TB program for the Department of Defense. This mission was referred to in certain documents as Rocket Lab Hippo. An FAA document confirms Rocket Lab tested features from Neutron's Hippo fairing on this flight. So, for the people that don't know, Rocket Lab haste launches are an Electron rocket that launches. It's basically takes Electron and it launches it on a suborbital trajectory to test out hypersonics. Yeah, to test out hypersonic stuff. That's 2 haste launches from Wallops this year in recent memory. I think there's more than that total for the year, but that's still a lot. Hypersonic, they're talking about you? No. You're not stuff. You are a person. So, no. No, my friend. No, my friend. That makes sense with the hypersonic stuff we've been hearing out of China. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, everybody all about hypersonics and oh my god, hypersonics. And I'm just sitting here laughing in Thad, to be honest with you. Laughs in Thad. If you don't know, you don't know. But if you know, you know. China counter started. That's 2. Did you see the video I linked yesterday? I haven't watched it yet, Badojo. I have it teed up over here. Real talk, but drones are the future of warfare and it's horrifying. Who told you that? A friggin' Call of Duty player? Have you seen the videos out of the Ukraine? Yes. Yes, I have. I don't think that they are going to take everything's place on the battlefield. Who told you you could act? The director of your Powerade commercial? I'll tell you what. You can take the drones. Take all the drones. You do that. I'll take F-35s. We'll see who wins. Okie dokie. Baron, what do you want me to see with this piece of junk? You... Gee, I wonder where they got that idea from. Anybody? Is this China? 3. Hey man, yo, can I copy your homework? Yeah, sure, dude, just change it up a little bit. Hey, Heimer. Yeah, just change it up a little bit, man. That, why would you make the not... It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Okay. What do we got here? What is this? ISS research. Sunita Williams supervises Astrobee's new tentacle-like attachment called Reach. This demonstrates Reach's ability to catch floating items, a capability that could help recover orbiting objects. What? We're
going to try and get Astrobee to approach it. If it misses, that's okay. So this is all part of what we're figuring out today. Looking good.
Is better?
I,
So this is all part of what we're figuring out today. Looking good.
I don't like this.
Is better?
It's a it's a JAXA experiment. And now on to something completely different. Is it JAXA? Oh God. Not really news, but I just finished this. As someone who didn't know a ton about the backstory, it was crazy eye-opening. What do you got for me, Gary? Oh, no. Yeah. Yep. Phil, nice. Oh, I think I accidentally, you know, X'd out of the Ars Technica article. Oh, no. Anyway. I did cover the Komatsu Moon equipment from yesterday, Bran. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Gary, this, it's a hard read, man. It's a tough read. I haven't read that book, but, let me just tell you, do you see what I mean about programmatic failure? The shuttle is not the problem, okay? I would hope that book conveys that sufficiently. The shuttle's design was fantastic for what it is. It really is good. It's a really good design. Like if that's your expectation of bringing back your upper stage engines, right? Shuttle design's fantastic. You had no idea Bill was involved with all of that. Oh yeah, he flew on the flight right before Challenger, dude. Yep. Yeah, see what I mean about when I'm always saying like, oh, it's a programmatic problem. It's not the shuttle design. If you don't operate it in the conditions that it was designed for, it's not going to work correctly. You don't go off-roading in a Prius. That's your fault. That's not the Prius's fault, right? If you try to go, you know, like rock crawling in a freaking Prius, it's not going to work. Like, that's not the car's fault, man. Problem exists between seat and steering wheel, you know? Yeah, turns out that if your engineers are saying don't launch it in the cold, and you launch it in the cold, it might blow up. Weird, right? Like, that's strange. Okay, next article. All right, that's so strange. Like, how could this happen? NASA be like, how could this happen to me? Anyway. Here's Eric's latest article. Let's see what we got. In a not-so-subtle signal to regulators, Blorgen says Newglands is ready. Oh, this is gonna be good. I've seen a lot of people try to make Priuses fly recently, and it doesn't end well. What? That sounds like a challenge. Obey the traffic laws. Okay. Blorgen said on Tuesday that the test payload for the first launch of its new rocket, Newglands, is ready for liftoff. The company published an image of the Blue Ring Pathfinder. We actually covered that for Space News yesterday. Nestled up against an anonymous gifter gave Kreishin a Tier 1 sub. Thank you very much for gifting me a subscription to this channel. You are a gentleman and a scholar. Anyway, nestled up against one half of the rocket's payload fairing, there's growing demand to quickly move and position equipment and infrastructure in multiple orbits, said the company's chief executive, Dave Limp. Blue Ring has advanced propulsion and communication capabilities for government and commercial customers to handle these maneuvers precisely and efficiently. What the hell is New Glenn's? New Glenn's. New Glenn's. You've been doing some temp work at a wreck processing facility. Nice. Foz, don't you dare. Mods, slap anyone that says Glenny in my chat. Thank you. Ernok, please. And have spectator number 1 killed in Minecraft. Anyway, this week's announcement, historically, Blue Origin has been tight-lipped about new products, but it's opening up more as it nears the debut of its flagship New Glenn rocket. Appears to serve a couple of purposes. All Blue wants for Christmas is... First of all, the relatively small payload contrasted with the size of the payload fairing highlights the greater volume the rocket offers over the most conventional boosters. New Glenn's payload fairing is 7 meters, 23 feet in diameter, as opposed to the conventional 5 meter, 16.4 feet. It looks roomy inside. Additionally, the company appears to be publicly signaling the Federal Aviation Administration and other regulatory agencies that it believes New Glenn is ready to fly, pending regulatory approval to conduct a hot fire test at Launch Complex 36, and then for liftoff from Florida. This is a not-so-subtle message to regulators to please hurry up and complete the paperwork necessary for launch activities. It is not clear what is holding up the hot fire and launch approval in this case, but it is often environmental issues or certification of a flight termination system. Blue Origin's release on Tuesday was carefully worded. The headline said New Glenn was on track for a launch this year and stated that the Blue Ring payload is ready for a launch this year. Allow myself to introduce myself. As yet, there are no notional or public launch date. The hot fire test has been delayed multiple times since the company put the rocket on its launch pad on November 23rd. It had been targeting November for the test, and more recently, this past weekend. After years of delays, originally due to debut in 2020, Blue Origin founder Jeff Bezos hired a new chief executive to run the company a little more than a year ago. Dave Limp, an executive from Amazon, was given the mandate to change Blue Origin's slower-moving culture to a more nimble and urgent, and was told to launch New Glenn's by the end of 2024. Only 3 weeks remain in the year, and there are a lot of good reasons that Bezos wants to complete this debut launch. So, is it Doubtfire right now? Oh, I don't think so, dearie. Thank you, Ernok. You do not face the wall. However, a million things can go wrong during a launch debut, and it only takes one problem for a vehicle to be lost. With such a large rocket, integrating so many new components and software programs, there could be well-hidden problems discovered only in flight. Yeah, that happens. Additionally, Blue Origin needs to fly its New Glenn rocket in order to identify where the vehicle has margin. Sources have indicated that the payload capacity of the current iteration of New Glenn is closer to 25 metric tons than its advised 45. It is not uncommon for new launch vehicles, and the company will be able to use real-world performance data to refine the vehicle's hardware and software for future flights. Still, these improvements can only be made after a launch occurs when data is collected and analyzed. That didn't happen to SLS. SLS got uprated. SLS Block 1 can push 100 tons into orbit, by the way. Oh, how do I know? My sources told me that. Okay, you can stop the purge of Glennies. And there are other pressures on the rocket company to get moving. Officials with the incoming presidential administration are considering canceling NASA's Space Launch System rocket. No, they aren't. A very large but expensive and inefficient to produce booster that is part of the agency's plan to return humans to the moon. Therefore, they are interested to see whether Blorgen can deliver a privately developed heavy lift rocket in New Glenn to increase the space agency's options for getting astronauts to the lunar surface. Sources have indicated that these officials very much would like to see Blue Origin play a major role in the lunar return. But before that happens, the company needs to demonstrate that it can execute on its ambitious but long-delayed rocket. In summary, the new year is nigh. Jeff Bezos is watching to see who is naughty and nice, and the moon beckons. No pressure. The incoming administrator of Doge has said he wants to cancel SLS. Yeah, fortunately they're not in charge of that. Of course, I mean, you can say whatever you want about the Department of Government Efficiency, but going after NASA's budget is not my idea of efficiency. That's probably, I can't speak to anything else, but that's probably shouldn't do that. Yeah, Corthinos, I kind of would want a direct south there, but I don't want to talk about that, Edmana. What makes you think I want to? Guys, you know, like, here's the thing. I can say with pretty high confidence that SLS won't get canceled. What's probably going to happen, and I like, here's the thing. Eric's sources are usually pretty good, but they often, like, they're not wrong. Whoever's telling him this stuff is not wrong, but it's often a small microcosm of a much bigger thing. Personally, I think that SLS is going to get canceled. I know that makes no sense. Its contracts are going to get canceled, and they're going to get renegotiated. Yeah, that happens all the time. That happened on paper during the shuttle program many times. Yeah. My guess is that that's what Eric's source is talking about. That SLS in its current form, in its current contracting structure, is going to get canceled in favor of something that's better. That's my guess. But, once again, who knows? Could be wrong. I'm pretty sure it's not going to, though. Case in point for that, and I've talked about this many times, I'm not going to waste your time. The last time they tried to go in and just make sweeping changes to the entirety of NASA's Human Exploration Operations Mission Directorate structure, we got SLS. So, yeah, pretty sure that's not happening again. It's happened like 5 times during SLS too. No, not really. It makes the most sense, Bob. That's what I would do. I'll be honest. That's exactly what I would do. Orion technically got canceled in 2011. And they renegotiated the contracts, and we got Orion MCPV, which is what Orion is now. And then technically it got canceled, but things can get canceled and the contracts can be renegotiated under a new name. So technically that doesn't exist, but technically it does. Like the 5-segment boosters that SLS uses are the 5-segment boosters from Ares 5. It's the same idea. So Ares 5 was canceled, but the boosters are somehow still there. See what I'm talking about? That's most likely is what's going to happen. I really do not think they're going to go after Artemis like that. I really don't. Once again, efficiency. Efficiency doesn't mean getting rid of something completely. Okay? That doesn't you're supposed to optimize the thing that you have. And in that regard, canceling SLS's current contracting structure makes a lot of sense. And hopefully they can scale it up. Now, personally, I think putting Orion on top of New Glenn is a great idea. That's a really smart idea. You know, we were talking about that lunar architecture yesterday, right? You know, how it take 2 SLS launches to get out to the moon. No. Screw that. Take take people off of Orion, or take people off of SLS, put Orion on New Glenn, and then use SLS as your uncrewed vehicle like Ares 5. Dude, SLS could probably dump into low Earth orbit. Let me do some quick math. Here. SLS into low Earth orbit could probably dump, I'd say, I don't know, with no upper stage on there, probably like 200 tons, if I had to guess. Somewhere around there. Maybe like $175. 175,000 kilos. That's enough for an upper stage in a lander. That's more than enough for an upper stage in a lander. Like, a lot. That's really good. It's really good. So give SLS that high energy upper stage that it needs. Move Orion over to New Glenn. Use New Glenn as your Ares 1. Use SLS as your Ares 5. Boom. The longest part would be redesigning SLS's upper stage and getting the payload fairing ready. And then, dude, then you're good to go. And in the meantime, you could use New Glenn to test Orion to make sure that its heat shield works correctly. We should probably do that. That's probably a good idea. Right? That's what I'm talking about. That's what I think is going to happen. I think that's a really good call. That's really smart. Your head is a coconut. There isn't any math going on up there. What's Seacracken? I can't hear you. You're going into a tunnel. I'm sorry. You're breaking up. Maybe you should refresh the stream or something. I can't. Oh, he's gone, guys. I don't know. It's weird. They already have the launch tower. I mean, Snackless, it makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense, dude. And Blue is jonesing for them NASA contracts. Right? They're just jonesing for it, dude. I think we're going to get renegotiation, man. That has to be what's going on. And in that regard, that makes it so Eric's source is actually quite good. I think, because like once again, dude, clearly the sources that he has are good. Like, they're clearly telling him the truth, but it's not the whole picture, right? So, based off of that predication, right, that's what makes the most sense in my mind. I mean, there's always no guarantees, right? There's no guarantees. That would suck. But, yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. Someone made this in KSP. Hear me out. Truthful made that, I think. Oh, jeez. No, I don't think that'll make it. A 5-meter Centaur in line with a 27-ton payload and a 5-ton launch abort system, this would crush that Centaur stage. Yeah, it's not rated for that type of load. Still cool looking, though. What do you think is the best game to teach a kid camera controls? What? Yeah, Aqualux, I don't see a load reactor in this design. Maybe if you continued with the 7-meter fairing all the way up to Orion, then yeah, but... Yeah, no. First-person shooters would probably be good for that, Count Brackmore, if I had to guess. Pokemon Snap. Good call. Good call. Yeah, 2 for Pokemon Snap. Yeah, that's a good idea. I like that idea. Yeah, count Pokemon Snap. That's the final answer. Final answer. Yeah, Pokemon Snap. Final answer. Anyone can say, I have sources say it, and it will live out and die, sit and wait. I don't think Eric is necessarily wrong, Goalie. Like... You know how I know? That's what I would do. If the Orange Man made me the NASA administrator, that's what I'd do. I'd go in there and be like, frick all your contracts, man. Frick all you. Frick all you. We're renegotiating this right now. And they'd be like, well, we need you. I'd be like, bro, don't worry. I'm going to make the gravy train run. All right? I want you all to get paid. I just want the rocket to launch as well. That is not a hard ask. All right? Like, I agree, Bob. Yeah. Okay. So, in Starbase news, Booster 14, which we saw static fire at the top end of space news, that did make its way back to the build site here, and we should be in line for Ship 33 to be taken out to Massey sometime soon for a static fire. All signs are pointing, in my mind, guys, all signs are pointing to a launch probably sometime in January. I've been hearing whispers of January 11th for Flight 7, so I'd better start booking plane tickets. Yeah, I've always said if you really, like, we can get all the paperwork. Oh, God, that's awful. That's awful. See, Kraken. I've always said, you know, you can look at all the paperwork you want. And don't get me wrong, paperwork is the end-all, be-all. But the paperwork means nothing if there's no flight hardware. And that's flight hardware. See that? Yeah, that's flight hardware. So the SpaceX probably going to take this thing back to, well, they did take it back to the build site. Probably going to look over everything, make sure it's good from its static fire attempt yesterday. Put the hot staging ring back on this sucker, send it right back out. You correlate that with ship testing, they should have a full stack by the end of the year in preparation for a launch early Q1. That's my guess. The hardware speaks volumes. Talk is cheap. Paperwork is kind of somewhere in between, for me at least. Did you consult the Mayan heat shield on that estimate? Dude, that was funny, man. It's very rare that I get thrown like on a professional cast like Flame Trench like that. Dude, that was pretty good. That was pretty funny. Whoever tipped that made me laugh. That was genuinely really funny. Oh boy. You're going to book plane tickets when the FAA has not yet spoken. No, not yet. Not yet. I'll wait until we get the paperwork. But the hardware's corroborating that pretty quickly. Putting it out there that the contracts could be canceled is good negotiations. That's right. That's a really good point. That is a really good point, actually, Lord Gugu. Yeah, very good. Why are you just necroing KSP Maniac's posts from like 2 years ago? Stop it. Stop doing that. Numbauer, you idiot. Stop making that noise. Stop making that noise, chat. Stop it. We should remove the SLS SRBs, upgrade the engines, add a third stage, maybe named it after a planet or something. You're, okay. So Pop, here, let me explain some things. So, you're not removing the SRBs for SLS. If you did, you should just build a new rocket. Let me explain. Yeah, this picture will do us right here. Give me 1 second. Actually, I'll just use NASA's pictures. Please hold. Your call is important to us. Please stay on the line. An operator will be with you shortly. What? I'm just kidding. I wouldn't do that to you. Not during off hours. You know what? Let's just I'm trying to find the right pictures. Give me 1 second. Okay. Yeah, this will work. this is SLS Block 1B, but it's good enough to get the point across. So, Pop, here's the thing. All right. Let's, first of all, once again, we have SLS Block 1B here, so just bear with me. You can't remove the SRBs because the SRBs are structurally integral to this type of design. If you look down there at the core stage, there's nothing structural connecting the core stage to the pad. The only thing that connects the core stage is these two, the tail surface mass umbilicals, basically the fueling oxidizer and fuel ports for the core stage. The SRBs are what's holding that core stage up. That core stage cannot stand up by itself. If you just put hold down points down here like a regular rod, no. Its hold down points are the aft attachment struts on the SRB. See them right there? That's the only way you can hold it up. So if you took the SRBs away from SLS, you'd have to replace them with something that can hold up the fully fueled core stage, upper stage, payload, and Orion. There's a reason why that's good for there's a reason why they did that. It's because the SRBs are strong. They're they're made out of steel. They're very strong. They have an insanely high power to weight ratio, so justifying making them out of steel makes sense. Now, these casings that SLS is using in this picture are leftover RSRB parts, so the reusable solid rocket boosters. They're leftover casings from the shuttle program. With 3 O-rings, don't worry. Oh, you were making a Saturn V reference. Touché. So, yeah, they're structurally integral. But yeah, I kind of agree with you. Taking the SRBs off, making it a 3-stage vehicle with 45 metric tons translunar injection, it's probably a good idea. Apologies, I'm usually a lot sharper than that. But also, I kind of wanted to look at this picture. This is the picture I like. It's a very, 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 very pleasing picture to look at. Very nice. Very nice. We should slap 2 more SRBs on it. You're fouling on your tail service mast umbilicals at that point. You'd have to redesign. You'd have to build a whole new mobile launcher. But anyway, I really don't mind this whole thing going on down here. I don't mind this. This is just fine. Like, as a shuttle nutcase, it does still irk me a little bit to dump, like, shuttle engines that have flown to space into the ocean. I'm not gonna lie, that's never really gonna sit totally right with me. But it's only for the first 3 flights, and then you don't have to worry about that anymore. Like, it's better than nothing. We almost got nothing. But, I'm cool with the core stage and the 5-segment SRBs. Those are the parts of SLS that are good. Those are the parts that work. We want those parts. SLS really needs a higher energy upper stage. Now, what do I mean? Now, the EUS, the upper stage for SLS, has an 8.4 meter hydrogen tank and a 5 meter oxygen tank that's out of the direct load path. And then you got 4 RL-10s below that. That's not necessarily bad. That is a very high characteristic energy upper stage. Very high delta V. But it doesn't really pack the punch that you need to send something, like in terms of thrust. It doesn't really pack the punch that you need. That's what I mean about a high energy stage. A high energy stage is a stage that has a lot of characteristic energy and a lower efficiency, usually to give you more thrust. Now, the name of the game with sending somebody to the moon, right, is to get them there quick, relatively quick. You could do a ballistic lunar transfer out to the moon where you basically just shoot a payload out there and then have it be going so slow when the moon comes into position that the moon pulls it in. A ballistic lunar transfer is probably like 150 delta V. We read that in the paper yesterday. In that paper that Mike Griffin wrote yesterday, we read that. 150 meters a second delta V to get to the moon. That's not a lot after translunar injection. That's really, really low. That's a low energy transfer. Problem is that transfer takes like a month. Probably more than that. I think they said 150 days or something. There's no life support system in the world that can last that long. Not on a spacecraft. You'd have to send like the entire ISS. And yeah, we're not doing that. Right? So you need a higher energy transfer. A higher energy transfer costs more delta V. And the higher energy transfer will get you there before your air runs out. It will get you there and back before your air runs out. You need a high energy stage like the Saturn V third stage. That's what we need. We really need something like that. And once again, you know, if I was like if I was NASA administrator, that's what I would get rid of the EUS at this point, because great, it passed preliminary design review and it passed CDR. That program is floundering really hard because they're trying to use legacy hardware to build a new upper stage. There's a lot of inexperience going on there. I would say, all right, fine, screw that. If it was me, I'd go to Blue and be like, yo, let's put a new Glenn upper stage up there with a load carrier on top. New Glenn stage, you guys are planning on mass producing those things. Good, let's go. Which is funny because SLS actually, they considered putting a new Glenn upper stage on SLS Block 1B in 2017 and ultimately decided that the EUS using legacy parts would be faster. Save Limp. Dave Limp. Yeah, they thought that the EUS would be faster. Okay, case in point. Yeah, narrator. They were wrong. Yep. I would do that, guys. I think leveraging the commercial, what you have off the shelf to supplement the SLS program and get it on track is a really, really good idea. And commonality between your rockets works. The Saturn 1B and the Saturn V had the same upper stage. Saturn 1B had the same second stage as the Saturn V's third stage with minimal modifications. You take a rocket like New Glenn, make just baseline New Glenn into your Saturn 1B, and then make SLS into your Saturn V using a New Glenn second stage, for New Glenn second stage, and a New Glenn third stage for your SLS third stage, or New Glenn second stage for your SLS third stage. Ho, you got a very good architecture right there. Real good. And then, dude, you could even go so far as to launch SLD on SLS. Screw it. Take SLD, bring it in to NASA and take sustainable lunar development, right? And Blue Origin and kind of roll it into a big ball with SLS. It's a great idea, dude. That would be really good architecture. I'd be really good with that. That gets Orion into low Earth orbit. That can get way more throw out to the moon. Blue could send their landers out to the moon more expediently. You wouldn't even have to worry about like refueling and stuff. SLS can throw it out there without any refueling. Orion circularizes it at the gateway. Boom, send it down to the surface. We're good to go, man. Oh, I actually really like that architecture. We should do some math to see if that actually works. That's really smart. I like that. That's a pretty mean architecture to supplement Starship, or vice versa. I almost puked. Or vice versa. SLS is new Armstrong. What a twist! Wouldn't that be something? Wouldn't that be something, Stackless? That would be the funniest thing I've ever seen. I'd be on board. I'd be on board with that. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. You think they might be considering scrapping the EUS? It's underperforming, Nova. The CDR for the EUS passed in 2020, man. 2020! It's taking you 4 years to make an upper stage? Last, please. What's up, 619? Time to start babbling to Jared Isaacman. Yeah, right? Lunar Cycler? Oh, dude, you could... well, you don't really want to do a Lunar Cycler. Sea Kraken. Anyway, 619, where's your last, buddy? I don't know how to exactly ask this or the proper wording for it, but here it goes. All right, shoot. And you guys, if you have other questions about stuff, now is the kind of Q&A segment for Space News, so hit me with those laser beams. How do aircraft like the Blackbird, for example, deal with the shockwave airflow at supersonic speeds? The shockwave missed the air inlet of intakes? Sorry for the off-topic question. Ho, ho, ho. Oh, 619, you're about to have your mind blown, dude. It's so the J58. Okay, you're talking about the J58, right? What the shock waves that come off the SR-71, how does it miss it? It doesn't. It doesn't, dude. So the nose of the SR-71 will create a wake, but that wake at higher speed stays closer to the fuselage, so it doesn't get anywhere out near the inlets. The inlets on the SR-71 and the A-12 and the YF-12 are retractable. They move back and forth. Because you got to remember, your theta angle of bow shock changes with speed. Okay, so the faster you go, the steeper your wake is going to be. That's why these things retract. Because these are out in laminar flow at supersonic speeds. And when they are, the shock wave goes into the intake, dude. Dude, it is trick. Very, very trick stuff. That's like turbo supercharging trick. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Dude, look. At supersonics, the shock goes into the freaking intake. And they use the geometry of the back of the intake right here. They use that geometry to be able to create flow separation inside of the intake. So you get air that goes in at supersonic speeds and then uses flow separation off of the back here to slow down to subsonic to feed the ramjet and stuff. Or to feed the engines and then the ramjet, depending on your speed. Yeah, dude, it is. It's a turbo ramjet. Turbojet, ramjet. So, crazy thing, the SR-71 at Mach 3, they shut the turbojet off. Because by that point, you can't slow the air down fast enough. Because you need subsonic air going into a jet. The compressor can't compress anything if the air is already compressed going in. Right? Like, you could try to compress it more. It's not really going to work because you have those fins and everything, the spinny boys. It's not going to work. So what it does is actually shuts it off and it bypasses the jet. That's what, hold up. That's what these things are for. They're bypasses. And what they do, right, is they take the burner, for the most part. It's a little more complicated than this. They take the afterburner for the turbojet and they just turn it on. The air coming in that's being forced in at supersonic speeds, right, to the point where it can't feed the jet engine, just goes around it and then just goes into the afterburner. It's a ramjet, dude. That's all you need is the burner because the air is already getting compressed in, right? It's crazy. Yeah. At that point, the air is coming in so ridiculously fast, you don't need the suck part. You just need to squeeze the bang and the blow. You don't need that front part. That's already happening because you're going so fast, right? It's already happening. It's like anti-lag for a jet engine almost. It's not like that. It's close, but you get the idea. Do we even have enough Orions to test them with new, Glenn? Make more. Raiden, what I would propose is a block buy of Orion and SLS with that new Glenn upper stage architecture. That takes SLS, which is a useless vehicle right now. It doesn't really do much. And that makes it work like the Saturn V. And then we can launch it like the Saturn V if we block buy. Yeah, it's crazy, dude. You know what? They basically designed this by accident, dude. Yeah, the bypasses in the jet, they were just trying to, they thought they would need to keep the jet engine cool. So they thought introducing bypass air, like a blow-off valve almost, to alleviate compression would be what it needed. No, it ended up making it go faster. Yeah, way faster. Fortunately, you can't do that. They weren't Yeah, they weren't expecting the engine to be able to run like that, so it wasn't designed for it. If they had thought of it, they designed to take advantage of it better. Yeah, like I said, that's by accident. Yeah, that's right. You heard that correctly. They designed it, but they didn't realize that that's what it would do. And then they said, "Oh,
Discovery, go and throttle up.
oh no, it meant to do that. Yeah, it was supposed to do that the whole time. Duh, duh. Yeah, yeah. Lockheed, man. Okay. They used Buick engines to start it and not Fords. Actually, they used Buick engines at the beginning of the program, and it turns out the Buick Wildcat engines were not strong enough. They switched to Chevy big blocks in the early 70s. Yeah, so. Yeah, they're not Fords, but look, man, I like Fords. But if someone's going to dangle a big block in front of me, I don't really care where it comes from, to be honest with you. For air starters, no. That's the start cart, 619. So, like I said, they basically shut the jet engine. It's basically off. For all intents and purposes, basically off. So, there's no starter on the SR-71. They can't do that. There's no weight. There's not enough mass. You can't. There wasn't enough space, like physically, to put it on this airplane. It needs to be light to be able to go that fast, right? You got to remember, the whole hull is made out of titanium. It's heavy. So what they did, what they basically figured out is that you could basically take two big block Chevys, put them into a common drive shaft, and then have that drive shaft output up into the motor to spool it and start it. Yeah, two big blocks were what was needed to start turning the rotating assembly on this to initiate compression. Yeah. Start carts. That's with the Buick motors. That's got two Wildcat Buicks on it, two Holley double pumpers. But yeah, that's it, man. I offered to get the start cart at Intrepid going, but they said no. No. No, I'm not saying that again. Yeah, they have, on the Intrepid, there it is. That's the start cart. They have two big blocks in there. There's two 454s in there that they're just letting sit. And I'm like, dude, we could get that running, man. I could get that running. No problem. Let me go down to the parts store and get a carb rebuild kit. We'll get these big blocks turning.
Oh, this is Space.
Kenwa,
I'm in space.
gifted 5 subs. Thank you. Caviar also had a 49-month resub before that. Thank you very much. I've got an air museum a few miles away with an SR-71, probably gone like 20 times. Yep. Intrepid mentioned. Yep. Thanks for explaining. Yeah, of course, man. It's really cool stuff. Start cart basically had a drive shaft, right? And they could change the ride height on it by jacking the thing up, and the drive shaft basically coupled to the gearbox, not the gearbox. It coupled to I would say gearbox. It's not really gearbox. It coupled into the main turbine. It's freaking cool. Now, check this out. So like I said, the jet engines would fly, and then once the ramjet took over, they basically shut them off. They're making minimal, if not any thrust. They're basically off, right? It's not totally off because you're still spinning just a little bit. But they still had to figure out a way to restart them, right? Because what happens when you come out of supersonic and you go back down into subsonic? You have to find a way to restart your engines. You know what they used? T-tab. Yep, T-tab. Same thing that Falcon 9 uses to start its engines. Triethyl aluminum and triethyl borane. When they combine, they become pyrophoric. So if they find an oxygen molecule, they'll explode. Yeah. That was the way to spool them, to restart them. Yeah. Falcon 9 wasn't the first one to do that, man. Used to watch SR-71s at Cadena at night. There was nothing like it. The F4 is pretty cool, too. I love F4s, man. Yeah. Dude, you want to see something nuts? Look at this. Look at the splines. That is the input shaft. That's the input shaft for the start cart. Look at the damn splines. Dude, I mean, 619, you've seen a CV joint spline, right? You've seen like Ford 9-inch splines, right? Look at that freaking thing. That should tell you how much torque was getting put out from this, right? And if you don't speak car, guys, see all these little notches in there? The more of those that you have and the thicker they are, the stronger it is. So, long story short, two huge, gigantic, what is it, a 7.3 liter? 7.3 liter V8, two 7.3 liter V8s are needed to start the SR-71's engines. That's bananas, dude. That is a thick input shaft. Imagine being the guy who machined that. Yeah, right? Yeah, some nerd machined that by hand. All right. There's the output shaft from the start card. Mother trucker, that's no joke. Oh yeah, it also retracts. I forgot to mention that. The output shaft can actually go up and down. It'll retract into the start card. Yeah, forgot to mention that. I know because I looked at it up close. Intrepid was nice enough to let me actually peek my head into the start cart, and I looked in here and I'm like, oh, this is good. We could get this running. How are the V8s coupled to the drive shaft? A gearbox. Think limited slip differential, right? So a limited slip, right, with two big blocks on what would normally be the output shaft of the differential, and then the input yoke and pinion is going up instead. It's not exactly that. I've actually never seen that part, but that's what it does. A limited slip differential will basically it'll basically compensate for the slight differential RPM between the two V8s revving. These are words. It's a car axle in reverse. Does that help? It's probably done similar to how twin-engine dragsters were done back then, too. Where do you think they got the idea, dude? Seriously. Dude, the guys that worked at Skunk Works in the 60s were the guys that were out going to El Mirage drag racing their cars. Like, let's be real. Oh yeah, somebody just figured out a way to do twin engines on a dragster in the 60s. Yeah, some guy just figured that out. No, probably worked at Lockheed. You'd need two starters for your starter. How does the upper stage restart on the Saturn V? Spark ignition. A spark igniter is what the J2 uses. You ever have a grill with an electric igniter or a gas range in your house? When you turn it on, you hear that that, but a really, 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 really much more expensive aerospace version of that. Yeah. That. Seriously, El Mirage, notorious for speed record racing, is down the street from the Skunk Works. That's not a coincidence, guys. That's not a coincidence, man. That's how jet engines ignite too. It's called a spark igniter. Jet engines don't need a constant spark, just like your grill or a stove doesn't need a constant spark. Once you spark it, you combust the gas, it'll basically initiate a flow. Right? You don't need another spark to keep the thing going. Right? Like a grill is the same way. You have a damn good quality propane grill, boy. You light the thing, turn the gas on, throw the match in, and then you got a nice flame from good quality burning propane, boy. Does that mean RFA gets their igniters from Traeger? Nah, Weber. Found a good bit of the start cart? Oh, you son of a gun. I'm in. How does this ad get off my screen? By skipping.
It's a open gear cup.
This is Air
And on
Zoo.
the start cart
Dude.
is a positive gear that nestles up into that cup
Bruh.
and then spins through the force of the V8. It turned out that one V8 wasn't enough. So we ended up putting in two V8 engines side by side.
Yes.
And the engine that we chose was the 1960 through 1962 Buick 400 cubic inch Wildcat engine.
Yep.
It seemed to be the best choice at the time. So that's how we ended up with the Buicks. And since we had
there you go, Pop.
as our fuel, and it may leak occasionally, it turned out to be safe and okay because we had these very short pipes on the Buicks. You may have seen them. And when we were running the Buick cart,
Dude,
we literally had flames shooting out of the exhaust pipe.
That's so loud. They're running open headers, okay? So they're running two 400s with open headers. Like, okay, that doesn't make a lot of sense in car speak. Okay, if you don't speak car, excuse me. See right here? See these pipes coming out? Right behind, like, see this flange piece right here, this big piece of metal that's holding all the pipes together that bolts it to the engine? Right behind this, if we could look at it in X-ray view, the exhaust valve is right there. And then the explosion is happening right there that makes the piston go down. Right? You're not that... To speak in non-car terms, there is a gunshot basically going off about 2 or 3 feet away from the camera. Something as audible as a gunshot. And it's happening 800 times a minute at idle. And you're basically running a gigantic open header. This flap probably went like this when the thing was running. And yes, you get some of the combustion remnants coming out. So yeah, flames would shoot out the side. It would be alternating back and forth. It would be like, bup, 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 bup. But yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. That's basically loud. This would be like having a machine gun going off about this close to your ear. That's loud.
When we were
like
running
really
the Buick
loud.
cart, we literally had flames shooting out of the exhaust pipes. But the other part that was so cool is the sound coming out of those high revving Buick engines was just amazing.
Yeah, baby.
It was like music to a gearhead's ears.
Let freedom ring.
So
That's freaking
they
sick,
did have a weak
dude.
point though. As the Buicks got up to about 6,000 RPM, we finally got up to about 3,000 RPM on the engine. And at that point, when the pilot engaged the throttle to go up to idle, the engine would start and it would take its way up the last 1,000.
They're pushing a big block, a 400 big block to $6,000 in that, dude. That's no joke. Freaking Buick engines, man. Holy crap.
RPM to our idle speed, which is 4,000. Sometimes the guys running the carts would get a little bit carried away with the noise and they wouldn't drop out at 3,000 RPM engine speed, and they would blow up the Buicks and it'd puke its guts out all over the ground.
Oops. Whoops. Oops. Let freedom ring a little too much. Oops. Well, it sounds like they visited Rodney. That's what I mean. $6,000 for an engine that big is... yeah. They pushed it. Yeah, help us. They must have pushed him to 7. Like, dude, that's nuts, man. That's really cool. See? Big blocks, man. That's why big blocks are cool.
Over the first few years, maybe the first 15 years of...
Start cart guy. Be like, danger to manifold. Shut up!
the program, we broke enough Buicks that we exhausted the entire United States. Every single junkyard in the United States does not have a single 400 cubic inch Buick engine left.
Whoops.
We got every one and broke it on this program.
Oops. Whoops. Oops. No wonder they don't want you to fix them. They might start them and hurt people. Yeah, during the later parts of the program, Bob, they switched to 454 Chevys, which make more power than that. But 454 Chevys are from the 70s. And look, man, all right, not to turn this into a car thing. Car technology from 1960 is not car technology from 1970. Those are two different things. That's like comparing a car from the 90s to a Tesla. No, those are not the same. Right? Like, nope, nope. 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 Two different things, right? So the 454s I could get, dude, we could get that. I could get those running. Give me some mystery oil, a carb rebuild kit, and a fuel tank, and I will get those things running. Start cart audio. Oh, you mean like the noise? Yeah, that's probably why they don't start it. Yeah, you know what? That's probably a good point. But they could have just said that, man. Could have just said that. I still want a 455 Buick. Willie, your 75 F100 has a 390 in it. Is big luck. That's cool. Hey fellas, just where's the Air Zoo? Well, while we're here, I will always plug a museum, right? Where's Air Zoo at? I don't even know where that is. Cars in the 90s are way cooler than Teslas. That's Kalamazoo. Damn it! It's that Air Zoo. Okay. So, fun fact, me and Bree's dad, when I was in Michigan, were going to go to the Kalamazoo Air Zoo, but the day that we scheduled it was the day it snowed like crazy, and they said don't go anywhere. I was going to go there! Damn it! It's that Air Zoo. Fudge! Crap! I'm just gonna have to go back. I'm just gonna have to go and check it out. Seriously though, I need a start cart. I need to start a start cart once in my life. Okay? Anyway, what does this thing sound? Dude, this probably sounds righteous. If somebody could capture this without blowing out a microphone, I'll be pretty impressed. Yeah, but they're not two big blocks, Snackless. Alright? See, that one has a big block Chevy in it. See the chrome valve cover? Dead giveaway. The Wildcats have painted blue valve covers with ridges in them. See the ridges? The Chevys have a stamped chrome. I mean, the other ones are stamped too, but... Oh... Oh, dude, Holly double pumper, man. That's gotta be a 1000. It's gotta be 1050. Dude, for a 454. Look at the dude. He's got the very big primary. So, in case for the people that don't understand, bigger hole. Big hole in top of engine means more air goes in. More air goes in. This gray thing right here means more fuel goes in. More fuel, more air, more better. Okay? Okay. All right. Supercharged? No. All motor. Stufferman. If you put some Roots blowers on it, you probably could start it with one. I mean, it's big blocks, dude. They're huge motors. They're 7 liters plus. I mean, Fords are 7.5s. Chevy is 7.4 liter, and then Dodge is 7.3, I think. It's a 440, 454, and a 460. They're big engines. They make a lot of torque, dude. A lot of torque. I just joined replay, please. Is there any still functioning SR-71 on Earth? Nope. They were retired in 1999 because we decided in the 2000s that we didn't want to do cool things anymore. Don't worry, that's changed now. We do cool things again, like that. See that? That's pretty cool. You see this thing? Like, that's pretty neat. My brother had a 73 Formula 454 Ram Air. Yeah, NASA actually was the last ones to fly it. Yeah, they retired it in 1999. Yep. Satellites are better, but no, they're not. No, they're not. That looks cooler. A satellite looks like a flying server rack. That's dumb. And I'm saying that as a guy that likes space. Okay? No, I want this. No, not cooler, just better. All right, that's fair. Okay, I'll give you that one. But also, no. I want dinosaur. Dream Chaser's coming along, dude. All right. I think that's going to do it for space news. You see that Pontiac 2+2? Yeah, the one with the 400. Yeah, Ernock, I did. It's a nice car, man. It's a little clapped, but I don't think Pole Barn gives a frick. I don't think he cares. I mean, if I wouldn't care either. All right, let's drive it. There's a new KSC flyover vid on NSF. All right, you guys want to cap off space news with that? We can do that. Ah, yes. Yes! What are my boys up to here?
Might soon be over, but don't fear, as
Ryan!
2025 promises to bring even more action to the Space Coast. SpaceX is finally resuming work for Starship in Florida with new expansions and Launchpad work. Blue Origin is pushing ahead for New Glenn's debut, with more testing and future plans shaping up. Stoke Space is also making great progress, gearing up for the first launch of their fully reusable Nova rocket, and as usual, we'll have a lot more to talk about in this Space Coast Flyover.
Flyover. Propulsion continues to be nominal. Indeed. Water towers fly! Yes!
If you've been following these Cape flyovers for a
Sorry for yelling into the mic. It's the NSF. The NSF theme can flag a VOD, dude. I'm not even kidding.
while you know it's not just my face you get to look at, we'll have Adrian and Alex joining in as well to discuss all the intriguing things that the team spotted during the flyover.
Mute Starbase Live, okay.
Let's head over to SpaceX's Roberts Road facility, where activity with Starship hardware seems to be picking up once again. And that is because work continues on the orbital launch mount. That's right, we've spotted parts for the Starship launch mount that will go to Launch Complex 39A.
Yeah, see, we knew that.
Most of the pieces spotted aren't part of the launch mount itself, but rather will aid in its construction. 4 large components appear to be designed to support the mount's corners, while several other sections seem intended to reinforce the middle portions of the structure.
Yeah, that seems to be a direct copy of Pad B, guys. That's the same thing. Yeah, see, these are the corner pieces that Ryan's talking about. See this flat edge right here? That flat edge fits right there. It's kind of a big puzzle, and you need a really big welder to get these pieces to go together. See that gentleman right there? That guy makes a lot more money than everybody here. Stick welding this stuff together. That's like heavy industrial welding. See how the edges of these pieces, they're kind of rusty? That's because you don't paint the surface that you intend to weld. So the edges of these things, where they will ultimately be butted up against something and welded together, yeah, he's got to hit that thing with a grinder, which is over there somewhere. You got to find the flap disc. It's probably right there. He's gonna clean off the weld, and he's gonna start layering in stick weld to get this thing to hold together. You need a very big weld to hold those together. He's also got a gigantic freaking Miller arc welder right there, which is, yeah, not small. And then there's generator power too. Actually, that's got something in it. That's got propane in it. See the indicator? See the load indicator right there? That diamond? It's got nice high quality burning propane. What's that right there? An oxyacetylene torch. Can't be stuck if it's liquid.
Second launch pad at Starbase, giving a clear idea of where these pieces will fit into the final structure. The new launch mount design has 3 layers. The bottom, which directly anchors to the launch platform and has the flame trench underneath. Then there's a middle layer with all the hold down clamp.
I just want to point out the dude standing right there that's moving around on the scaffolding. So you can discern scale from this. See the dudes and see the pickup truck?
And finally a top deck which contains water-cooled channels.
That's not a small thing. That's what I mean about welding that thing together. It's a little big. There's a bird.
Catch. The launch mount also has a square shape with
It's probably small diesel Eiger, if I had to guess.
For the rocket to fit in. If you're a regular viewer of our Starbase update series, you probably knew this already, but if you're not, then now you know. Of the 5
knew
pieces
that.
we saw during this flyover, 4 of them
Generators.
are the corners of the bottom layer, while the other longer piece is one of the sides of the square.
Yeah, Glex, you're gonna have to heat the stuff up so the weld, like, dude, that's a lot of work, man. It's a lot of work.
Pad raises questions about whether the entire launch pad setup at LC-39A will follow the same blueprint. This could include similar hardware and infrastructure, but we'll explore that in more detail later.
How many SPMTs will they need? A lot.
In the day, SpaceX was already building an OLM in Florida when they still used the old design of the launch mount. That one was built in Hangar M on the industrial side of the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station, and as of October, it was still sitting outside. With new components now appearing at Roberts Road, it seems likely that SpaceX will assemble this updated OLM there instead. We'll keep an eye out as more pieces arrive. The exact location at Roberts Road where the OLM will be built remains uncertain, but the newly constructed tent seems to be a strong candidate. During our last flyover, SpaceX was just beginning work on the tent, which has since been completed. Notably, it's built on rails, allowing it to be rolled back and forth, a handy feature if crane lifts are needed while keeping the structure protected from the elements between operations. Of course, this is complete speculation, but this setup would be, coincidentally ideal for assembling the OLM. Besides the tent and OLM pieces, we've got even bigger news from Roberts Road. We have finally got an expansion. After more than a year of talking about this proposal, SpaceX has begun clearing ground for the north expansion at Roberts Road. This development will proceed in phases, with phase 1 covering 43 acres.
What they're doing there is just clearing brush. So the thing about Florida is that you really don't want to just build on this ground. You got to clear all the brush. They'll clear it, and then see they're putting in piles. They're gonna burn it off. It's clearing 101. But see this dark dirt and see the lighter dirt right there? Don't want to build on either one of those. That darker stuff is mud. This lighter stuff that's right here is limestone. Limestone would be like trying to build something on top of styrofoam. Yeah, limestone is a very porous rock. It absorbs a ton of water, and Florida is covered in it. Yeah, it's covered in it. It's everywhere. So when you move stuff in Florida, when you try to build something in Florida, you gotta get rid of all the brush. There's a lot of plants. It's Florida. It's a freaking jungle, right? And then what they got to do, and that's what these dudes are doing over there, you got to scrape the topsoil off. You got to get rid of all the limestone chunks. Because if you try to build on that, it's going to fall into the swamp. It's going to fall into the swamp. They said you couldn't build a launch pad in a swamp, but I did it anyway. And then from there, what they're going to have to do is dig out a retention pond. You dig out a pond and drain all of this. And you take the dirt that you dug out from the pond and you grade new dirt, because underneath the limestone chunks in Florida is actually pretty solid dirt. But you have to dig down to get to it. Yeah. How do I know? I read the core samples for this report because I'm a loser. How far down is bedrock? Bedrock is extremely far down, Willie. It's 50 plus if I'm remembering right. Why not use the biomass? Well, they do use it. They make heat with it.
Future phases will extend across the entire northern plot, significantly increasing the facility's capacity. We detailed this phased expansion in our previous flyover. Since our
What is Y level? Yeah, that's right, Uncle Bill. Yep. You're a super nerd, so I don't have to because I have no time. Yeah, neither do I.
Flyover, SpaceX has not only started clearing the area for phase 1, but they've
So, guys, see this road right here? It's that. It's all of this. Yeah, and see for the other factories that they made, right? See the retention ponds? The bigger the building, the bigger the retention pond you're going to need. Why? That building, if it's bigger, it's going to be heavier. It's going to have a bigger load footprint, right? So you need to build a bigger pad for that building to sit on. And if you're going to build a bigger pad, you need to dig out more water. You got to give the water a place to go, because if water seeps into this, you got a bad day. Drainage is super important in Florida when you have what's called a high water table. I don't know who wants to know this. It's all EJ's Space and Drainage Review. But yeah, that's just for anybody that cares. If you live in Florida, you see retention ponds everywhere. Yeah, it's because there's buildings next to them.
By our friend Harry Stranger, who you should definitely follow on X if you like seeing space from space. What exactly will be built here is still unclear, but as we mentioned in the previous flyover episode, this area is as large as the entire Starbase production site, giving SpaceX plenty of space to build something quite substantial. That is to say, there's a strong possibility that this area will eventually become SpaceX's own production facility for Starship rockets in Florida. With the potential for Starship production facilities finally being built and a launch pad back in the works, 2025 could turn out to be an incredibly exciting year for Space Coast Starship fans.
Let me just back it up here. See how this is like tan? That's the stuff that you want. That's the solid stuff. See all this tan stuff right there? It's dirt. You don't want the dark stuff, and you definitely don't want the lighter stuff. The lighter stuff is bad. The dark stuff is mud. But see, bigger building, bigger retention ponds. Smaller building, smaller retention ponds. Because you have to build every building basically on a gigantic graded slab that's way above the water table. Because when it rains, you want water to go away from it. And they go into the retention ponds. All the drainage goes right into these ponds. How do I know that? Well, I read the blueprints are public. Yeah, there's a bunch of drains. They're every 150 feet, if I remember correctly. What? This is cool. Dude, I play workers and resources, man. For real. You're going to look at me like that? I play workers and resources for fun. This is, I eat this stuff up. Not actually. I eat this stuff. This is great.
And if you happen to be one of them,
don't look at me like that.
Clicking the like button, doing all the YouTube things to feed the algorithm that we're beholden to. The best way to know if we're going to see a massive production site for Starship in the future is if we start spotting familiar hardware for a potential mega bay arriving at Roberts Road, along with a big crane being assembled in preparation for that.
The water goes in the square hole. That's right, Sam. Yes.
SpaceX has also been busy with other types of groundwork. While Max and Dee were flying over the area, they spotted an excavator working on the road that connects the west and east sides of the complex.
Interesting. That's for Module 9, by the way. You could tell because of the way it is. Do you think it's possible that SpaceX wants to produce starships horizontally? No, Horizon. I think that SpaceX wants to transport starships and super heavies horizontally eventually. I've seen paperwork that has nomenclature for a Starship breakover device. That is basically rocket terminology for a piece that the rocket attaches to at the bottom, like Starship, and they use it to turn it over. A breakover device is something that takes things vertical and makes them horizontally in rocket speak. Blue has a gigantic breakover device at the port to receive a new Glenn and then take it sideways to bring it back to the hangar. Yeah, breakover devices. We've seen them talk about that when it comes to doing starships at Florida. So my guess is that they'll manufacture them, vertically, and then perhaps horizontal transport. Horizontal would be easier to store. most rockets are stored horizontally. There's very few that are vertical all the time, like Starship. Just for what it's worth. Like Vulcan, Atlas, Falcon, New Glenn, they're all stored horizontally. So a breakover device for Starship eventually would make a lot of sense. That would be super cool to see, dude. How do they control the mosquitoes? The mosquitoes will go to the retention ponds, Creation. Good drainage. Keep it dry. Keeps the mosquitoes away. Seriously, that's another thing. They probably pesticide the snot out of the thing too, but...
The rest of the road has also been flattened, and it looks like it might be paved as well.
Okay, so what you're looking at here is a couple of different things. You have bedrock, well, not bedrock, you have the ground, so to speak, the good stuff, the dirt that I'm talking about. And then, okay, there's a couple of things to discern here. You have two types of grades on a road, and this goes back to Roman times. Just once again, in case anybody cares, just let me know. If you don't care, just let me know. I'll stop. You have a subgrade, and then you have your main grade, and then your asphalt is on top of that. The subgrade, the thicker that subgrade, the heavier the equipment it can move. Highway 4 at Boca Chica has an 8-inch subgrade. So if you drove a bulldozer, well, that's not a bulldozer. If you drove that dump truck on it, it cracks it. Anybody that's been to Boca Chica knows that Highway 4 is a little bumpy. Yeah, that's why. This road right here, I can tell you, that's a thick subgrade. Look at how thick the grade is. So this is going to be moving something heavy. That's what I'm trying to tell you. I could sit here and tell you about crowning and road construction and drainage till I'm blue in the face. The point that I'm getting at is that this road is being graded to move heavy stuff because it's got a 1 foot subgrade. If you look at the thickness of the road right there, comparatively to the bulldozer track, it's pretty thick. Oh, nice, Goalie. There you go. Yeah, so this road is going to be moving something heavy, like a spaceship, maybe? Probably a spaceship.
Not a bad move, considering they want to make
really,
all of
Jojo?
this
Yeah.
much more permanent in the near future.
If anybody's here is a Michigander and you want to know why your roads suck so much, industrial traffic destroys roads, especially concrete roads. You're welcome. Yeah, Michigan has a lot of that, especially in the southeast region of Michigan. Yeah, if you're ever wondering. Yeah, trucks wreck roads like really badly, and if the road is made for it, then maybe. See last, what's up? Concrete roads. Take me to Detroit, Rock City. Oh, nice, Aqualex. I will definitely use that. Thank you. Concrete roads are a pain to repair, though. Yes. Asphalt with a thick subgrade seems to be the winner here. This is why you see weight limits on roads and bridges too. Yeah, Pop, I'm not lying. Yeah, that's why your roads suck. Because Michigan has its state weight limits are way higher than other states. That's why, like, Pop, you've seen the trucks going up and down the roads that have like 20 wheels on them. Those things destroy roads. But I'd rather have them.
SpaceX has also
building stuff
installed
is
new
cool.
Starlink community gateways, which are these 4 dome-shaped units next to.
Starlink is stored in the balls. And the weight limits are barely enforced. Mm-hmm. Why are the weight limits in Michigan greater? Factories, bro. Factories, dude. Hey, stuff's got to get made, man. Got to move that stuff there somehow. Factories. It's for moving around parts to make cars, Shaw. That's the reason, dude. Gotta have factories, homie. It's not just factories. New stuff's getting built all the dang time. Aggregates, iron ores, all that stuff gets moved around. Dude, like, once again, for all the abandoned factories in Detroit, there's a bunch of, like, gigantic facilities to make stuff. Dude, it's got refineries, you got steel mills, and that's not just Southeast Michigan. That's, like, all of Lake Erie for what it's worth, all the way to Cleveland, dude. There's Bessemers everywhere. Like, steel mills, oil power plants, iron ore processing facilities, coal processing. Dude, it's ridiculous. It is like, I love it, man. It makes me so happy. I love factories. Factories make me so happy. Yeah, I get it. Pollution is bad. Shut up. But it's really freaking cool, man. Like, they're really cool. And paper. Lots of paper. Yeah.
To the retention pond.
Damn it. Now I want to play workers. If I recall correctly, road wear is calculated exponentially by weight wheels to the third power. Semis do way more damage to bridges on an equivalent weight of large people on bikes. Yep. Sounds like you're talking workers of reason. Hey, we're playing Hearts of Iron. I said we'll play Hearts. We're playing Hearts tonight.
advertises them as being capable of delivering up to 10 gigabits per second of internet bandwidth.
How many gigabits do you have?
Seen some of the publicity of them being used to connect super remote settlements before.
Yeah, for sure, Christian. Yeah, Ontario, man. Absolutely.
One or more of these at every facility they have, including on their drone ships. With 4 of these now at Roberts Road, it's sure to improve internet access for all the employees working there. Why would you pay to run a big fiber cable for employee internet if you can just do it yourself with at-cost pricing? During this flyover, we also spotted
It's a pretty good point.
these strange rectangles on the ground.
Rectangles!
They might be filled in with concrete. It's a bit odd and difficult to tell what they're for at the moment, but we'll certainly be keeping an eye on them as things develop.
Hi, Ryan. Let me back this up. Okay. Looking at the forms, these are not thick concrete slabs, right? So I told you about roads and subgrades and stuff, right? Pouring concrete is the same idea. So, okay, 1, this is reinforced concrete. So what's reinforced concrete? Just in case anybody wants to know about construction, okay? See this? See the bars? So you have steel rebar, right? And then you wire it together in a lattice. And then you pour your concrete onto the lattice. The steel reinforces the concrete, hence reinforced concrete, as opposed to just pouring the concrete and calling it a day. Reinforced concrete is designed to hold something up heavy, but the thickness really matters here. If anybody's a fan of Colin Furs, you actually know exactly what I'm talking about. Same idea. Now, the forms, judging by the forms, these aren't thick slabs, maybe 5 to 6 inches. So that's not holding up something terribly heavy, but it is holding up something heavy. My guess it's probably going to be tents or something. Maybe a building. Dude, Colin Furzy was watching the Starship stream when I was hosting it the other day, and I got a little flabbergasted. I'm not going to lie to you. I was like, it's Colin, mate. Nice. Now, another interesting thing to note here, guys, is that you have a conduit right here. So whatever this is going to be is going to have electrical power. You see this? That's basically electricity coming through the ground. And if you have a box like this that's on basically just a steel frame like that, it's a conduit box for a building. Like your circuit breakers would be in there. So whatever this is going to have some power. It's gonna be powered, whatever it is. I don't know what it is.
Moment, but we'll certainly.
It's not a substation, Phil,
as
but
things develop. We also noticed that
it's
the
too
new
small to be a
addition to the
substation.
Hangar X building is nearly complete, and during the flyover, it looked like they were just putting some final touches on it. Speaking of final touches, it also seemed like they were removing one of the AC units at Hangar X2, which was there when we last flew over. This is probably just regular maintenance, but it's worth mentioning since it's right in view of most of the Roberts Road facility. Now it's time for the latest on Blue Origin and what's coming up with their new Glenn rocket. So here's Adrian.
So hold on So those AC units that are up at the top, those are condensers. That's the condenser part of the AC unit. An air conditioner has a bunch of different parts. The condenser is the thing that's usually outside, right? That basically takes your refrigerant, recondenses it so it can be re-evaporated because phase change changes temperature with gases. Just in case anybody cared. If you phase change it, sorry, I said that wrong. If you phase change it to a gas, gas can change your temperature with pressure. Sorry, I don't know why I said it the other way. It's probably because I was staring at Adrian.
Starting at Exploration Park, we can see the expansion at the Airbus OneWeb satellite factory is nearing structural completion. When comparing our flyover photos to this render, you can see that there are still some cosmetic addition yet to come, as well as the new parking
Basically
area.
O10, yep.
Just across the road from OneWeb, we have Blue Origin's manufacturing facilities.
Yeah, Nancy, you said it better.
2025 will be a very big year for Blue, with the first launch of New Glenn possibly slipping to early in the year, maybe even a few more flights after that, including a mission to the moon, as well as lots of new facilities being constructed. So let's dig in. Starting with the north side of the campus, we were lucky enough to capture a New Glenn second stage inside of the 2CAT building.
Baby.
Now, something interesting to note here is that to our knowledge, this is the first time that there has been a stage inside of the building since a testing failure damaged 2CAT back in August. While the large segments of the damaged door still lay in front of the building, it's a good sign to see Blue bringing another stage to be tested. The fact that the second stage was hooked up to the bridge crane,
they will go
and
eventually.
that a few employees were actively working near the connection of the tank.
So that, if you watched Space News a little bit earlier, when I was telling you guys about New Glenn and how it would make a good stage for SLS, look at the size of the damn stage compared to the people. That's the kind of high energy stage you need to run a lunar program, baby. Look at that monster.
And the stand leads us to think that this stage was only just lifted into the building before we flew over. The stage itself could end up flying next year. Unfortunately, the doors to 2CAT's big sibling, TCAT, were closed as we flew by, so we couldn't see if there was a first stage tank inside. However, we did spot what could be some molds or rejects of BE3U's vacuum nozzle extensions. Nearby were also two domes. Based on the appearance, these look to be for a second stage. Given both sets of these items are sitting on the ground, out in the open, it's safe to assume that these aren't flight articles. Another interesting tidbit is the segment of a ring-like structure being delivered on a trailer. Given the size and shape of this object, this could be another transport ring like we already see being used when New Glenn's first stage are moved between facilities. Or maybe it's a part of another launch ring that New Glenn rests on while atop its transporter erector at Launch Complex 36. With the object being wrapped, it's hard to be sure, but we thought this was an interesting spot. Just south of the main factory building is the large new parking garage, which appears to be in its final stage of construction.
It is blue too.
From this view above, it seems like most of the remaining work will be constructing roads to and from the garage. As Blue continues to ramp up production for New Glenn and other programs, having a large parking garage like this is something that serves a very important purpose, even if it seems rather boring compared to everything else going on. Speaking of other programs within Blue Origin, the Lunar Production Facility, or Lunar Plant 1, continues to grow. This large building will be where Blue will, as the name implies, produce its lunar landers. And as you can tell from the size of the building structure, these landers aren't small. This directly connects to one of Blue's big goals of 2025, which is launching the Blue Moon Pathfinder mission on New Glenn. While the Pathfinder itself probably won't be assembled in this building, given its current state. Next door to Lunar Plant 1, we can see the new storage facility being rebuilt after the initial structure was knocked down by Hurricane Milton in mid-October. Around these buildings, we can see dirt being prepared ahead of more permanent roads being laid to support increased traffic in the area. Just south of the light industrial building and next to a tent, we can see new building foundations being worked on. These foundations may be for a facility we have seen on plans for a few years now.
No, hold up. I want to show you something. Okay. I showed you guys that lattice stuff at SpaceX, so at Roberts Road. How you saw the lattice, not a big form, right? Look at the lattice for that. See that? Look at the forms. Much thicker slab and multiple levels of reinforcement with a thicker bar. Whatever's going on that is going to be very, very heavy. See? See the difference? That's a thick slab. That thing could hold up a tank. No problem. Why are trees not used as windbreaks in hurricane-prone areas? Creation, because trees usually don't survive the wind, and then you don't need like a telephone pole-sized piece of debris coming at you or your house. With that being said, there are some natural breaks, but Florida's really flat, dude. It's really flat, and the brush doesn't grow very high, dude. It's not like up where we're from, man. Like, I know you're not from, like, the East Coast, but, like, higher latitudes, dude, you have trees that grow taller. That doesn't really happen in Florida too much. Like, you're gonna get pine trees and stuff. There's a lot of pine trees down there. But most of the brush doesn't go up very far. It's not like an evergreen tree that's, like, 5 stories tall, right? The brush in Florida is not very high. The trees don't go very, very high. Like, maybe a palm tree at best 2 stories, maybe, like, on a tall tree. So... I mean, you could plant a lot, but honestly, I would just put a berm. A berm would do a lot better. Yeah, just dirt. Just put more dirt. Because you put more trees down, that's just more stuff that can come unseated and hit you. Yeah, I live, you know, source, I lived there. I lived in Florida, dude. I've seen what hurricane damage can do. It's not great, Bob. I really want to get you into a stamping plant. I got to find a way. I love machines, dude. I love them. I love them. But yeah, Creation, you'd be better off building a dirt berm. But yeah, see the lattice there? See how thick those bars are compared to the other ones? Whatever this is, it's going to be holding up something extremely freaking heavy.
Now, and this could finally be part of that construction. If the planning documents we have seen in the past are still up to date, this should be for the Chemical Processing Facility, or CPF. I guess only time will tell if this does follow those plans. Going south, just
Chemical Processing Facility, so it's going to be holding up tanks full of liquids. Makes sense, right? Chemical. I'm calling it that from now on. Adrian's gonna kill me, dude. Gonna be like, I do not like you. Hypergalls? Most likely a material that's going to be used in the manufacture of something. If I had to guess, like probably petrochemicals for plastics or something. That's just a huge guess. I don't know. I'd have to go review the plans. Yeah, click on Aqualex's link if you want to see what a... Yeah, you don't want... You just really want your house to be aerodynamic. That's really it. You don't want to have your house have a high coefficient of drag. The problem is that hurricanes come from different directions, so houses aren't on turrets last time I checked, so... But the building codes in Florida are pretty... Like, Creation, if you give a frick... The building codes in Florida are pretty ridiculous. You have to build really robust structures, like at least at a residential level. That's why a lot of houses in Florida are made out of cinder block and concrete, so they can withstand getting hit with a tree or something. Building something that's strong enough to withstand gale winds is like part of the building code in Florida. It's part of residential building code.
Just a little further to the newest section of Blue's campus, we can see that the most recent clearing has been seemingly turned into a temporary parking lot, as well as a storage area. Notably, while our team was flying, there were at least 5 trucks delivering framework for yet another building.
1, 2,
maybe
3,
for
4,
the CPF that we saw foundations for, or maybe something entirely different. With that, let's head over to Launch.
Like, so Creation, consider this picture, dude. See what I mean? The trees don't, like, just the general brush here doesn't grow very tall. My guess is that because it's just naturally windy here, being so close to the ocean. 5 trucks. 5 trucks. Right. Like, if you're up in the air, Florida looks flat as a board, dude.
Complex 36, where Blue are working towards New Glenn's first flight with the actual rocket currently on the pad. As I just said, yes, this is the actual flight article of New Glenn on the Launchpad at LC-36,
that's nice.
standing 98 meters tall, towers over the Space Coast, and has actually been rather busy lately.
That's nice.
But before we get to that,
that's
let's
really nice.
catch up on what happened since our last flyover. New Glenn's first stage at GS1 rolled from the factory to the launch complex on October 30. After arriving at the hangar, Blue integrated the GS1 with its second stage, GS2, and the payload fairing. The vehicle then would have been lifted on the
Jim, you see that behind him?
On November 20, the TE rolled New Glenn out to the pad and went vertical the next day. As of this recording, Blue seems to have done at least one propellant load of New Glenn's second stage, as we saw vapor coming from that area of the TE on the night of December 4th, along with the liquid hydrogen flare stack burning. On the next night, December 5th, we saw a lot of flare stack activity from the methane tank farm, but no obvious signs of propellant loading. All of this is in lead up to the static fire of New Glenn's first stage on the Launchpad, the final hardware milestone before launch. This will be a huge moment, as it will be the first time we will see all 7 of New Glenn's BE-4s light up, but also because,
pending regulatory approval,
the static fire is likely part of the criteria for a final go for launch. Of course, one another crucial part of hardware for a New Glenn launch is Jacqueline, Blue's ocean landing platform. And for that and more, I'll hand it back to Alex to talk all about what's going on at Port Canaveral.
My guy.
Well, Adrian, at Port Canaveral we have even more activity from Blue Origin. You might remember from our last flyover, Blue's Jacqueline.
So we were talking about breakover devices, guys. See that thing, the blue and yellow thing back there? That's a breakover. Consider the car parked right next to it. The breakover device is not small. And Starship's breakover device would look like that, probably. I mean, probably not that complicated. This thing has provisions to, like, hold the fins for New Glenn and stuff, but they should call it a bendover. I don't want to call it that.
Barge was at the time in Jacksonville, likely getting some work done. We mentioned back then that the barge was supposed to go out again for testing because Blue had filed for a communications permit to test New Glenn's communication equipment out at sea. Well, since our last flyover, Jacqueline is finally back in port and has indeed gone out a few times to perform these tests.
Yeah, that's not a good idea.
Max and D spotted once again the New Glenn aft section simulator, and it appears that Blue Origin has built some sort of robot to service the booster after landing. In these shots, we can deduce what appears to be an arm reaching out to the booster aft simulator, likely to simulate this device reaching out to an actual landed booster and saving it.
Oh, nice,
This is a bit different from how SpaceX does this, where instead the robot they have, called Octograbber, just simply keeps the booster in place during the trip home by grabbing onto its base and lowering the center of mass. Speaking of SpaceX drone ship operations, this is probably a good time to talk about something that a lot of you probably have noticed lately during Falcon 9 landings. It seems like SpaceX has installed a water deluge system of sorts on Just Read the Instructions, and we've seen the system running for at least the last couple of months. I personally went through my spreadsheet and noticed that there was a month gap in between missions that this drone ship supported. It supported the Galileo launch on September 17th and then a Starlink launch on October 18th.
That's not a spreadsheet, Alex. Are you lying to us now?
And then if we compare the landing footage of both missions, there was no water on the Galileo landing, but there was on the next mission supported by this drone ship, which was that Starlink launch in October. It turns out we probably captured them working on this system back on our September flyover, and we just thought, oh, might be some maintenance work on that drone ship, when in fact they were installing this new system.
No, stop cutting the camera. All right, what do we got? Acetylene torch. A big honking welder. Got pipes. Laughing pipes. American flag. American flag that's touching the deck. Very triggered right now. That better be on the chair. It's a camping chair. Oh God, thank God. Oh. It's a chair. It's just a chair. It's just a chair. Don't let the flag touch the ground. Okay? Don't let it touch the ground. That's awful. Why would you do that?
Likely that this is their way of reducing the wear and tear on the deck of the drone ships, which could save them the hassle of having to send them to dry dock for a few weeks every handful of months.
It's a lawn chair.
Keeping an eye on a short
Is it a mobile lawn chair?
Because if this turns out to be useful, then SpaceX may retrofit that drone ship with the same system. And from SpaceX recovery operations,
cool.
let's go to the launch operations with Starship. And no, I'm not getting this wrong. I know I'm not on a Starbase update, but as you've seen earlier in the video, SpaceX is resuming Starship work at Florida. Since our last flyover, we've seen a lot of activity at Launch Complex 39A with multiple cranes and lifts around the tower. One thing that we've also seen is...
Alright, what do we got here? So these are telescoping cranes with a jib extension? Yes, I like cranes too. Of course I like cranes. Why would... Bro, look at me. Look at me! Of course I like cranes. Jeez. So these are jibs with an extension right there. Okay, why is it relevant? These cranes aren't lifting anything heavy. A telescoping crane can lift some pretty heavy stuff, but you need the big crawler cranes, the one with the treads, like the CC8800, the one that built the tower. That's going to be lifting up stuff. The point is that these cranes are probably going to be used to disassemble something. They're probably going to take bits and pieces off one by one. These cranes can't... Don't get me wrong. Telescoping cranes can lift a lot, but they're not... These cranes probably aren't building anything. Did you see the new IR images of Roberts Road? They were in this video, actually. I'm looking at you. Why? Oh!
is the dismantling of the large liquid oxygen tank that SpaceX had built for Starship back in 2022.
Yeah, exactly, Fish.
They even brought 2 big cranes to help on that dismantling.
See what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about. See the telescoping part? So this part is, well, it telescopes. It can open and close. This part is fixed.
Back when the LOX tank was
They're
built,
taking that LOX
SpaceX
tank apart.
also planned to install a few horizontal...
See, okay. That's a CC8800. See that thing? Actually, that could be a Liebherr 13,000. That I don't think that's the CC8800. Could be a Liebherr 13,000. The point is, see that crane comparatively to the little guy over here, the little telescoping guy? That thing lifts heavy things.
Few horizontal tanks nearby with more liquid oxygen and liquid
telescoping
nitrogen
cranes
as well.
don't lift that
all
much.
Of this to be part of the liquid oxygen side of the new Starship tank farm. However, all of these horizontal tanks and all the hardware for them was removed shortly after and were actually sent to Texas, where they either went to the Massey outpost or were installed at the Starbase launch site. Now with the big LOX tank also going away, it seems like SpaceX may have a newer and different design for the Starship tank farm at LC-39A. Perhaps another sign of a change in the tank farm design might be on the transfer lines for the methane tank farm at this pad. In case you don't remember,
this is your Christmas cookie delivery service.
My Christmas cookie delivery service? Hold on one second. Yeah, that's high quality cookies. Clean. It's cold. Yeah, that's what I call high quality bacon cookies.
Alright. Those are the brown sugar ones I made with that dough.
What?
Those are the brown sugar ones I made with that dough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're pretty good.
Yeah. New favorite cookie.
Can share with the class? No. Get your own wife to bake you cookies, you dope. Or husband, whatever.
I have some in the oven, so I can't be too long.
Oh, okay.
I love you.
I love you too, baby.
I'm glad you enjoyed your Christmas cookie.
I did.
More to come.
Yeah, those were really good.
Remember, SpaceX refurbished the all-hydrogen sphere at LC-39A, which was used during Apollo and Shuttle, and repurposed it to hold liquid methane for Starship. Along with that, the company also installed extra horizontal tanks with more methane and also with liquid nitrogen, and installed a bunch of subcoolers as well,
Yes,
just like we're
pretty good.
seeing at Starbase. In order to transfer all of those fluids from that methane tank farm to the launch mount and launch tower, teams built a series of transfer lines from that tank farm all the way out to the back of the launch.
Okay, so if you notice, there's bends in the line. Why? Just in case, if you really like tank infrastructure or rocket infrastructure or just fluid commodity movement, there are bends. See this? They didn't outline them, but there are bends. Those bends are there for thermal expansion. It's basically an expansion joint for the entire pipe to make sure that, because this pipe's going to get super freaking cold. When it gets super cold, it's going to contract. So you need to have a little bit of play in it, right? That's what they're there for. They're also there for fluid management. It's a passive fluid management system that prevents propellant velocity or fluid velocity inside of the pipe from going too fast. Yes, that's a thing. Adding these turns in the pipes actually slows the fluid down going through the pipe. What does that do? Well, that prevents what's called hydraulic hammering. All right, you don't want your fluid to accelerate down this long tube, right? And then get to the end and have to make a corner. That's going to build up a lot of hydraulic pressure at the first turn, and it'll make basically a hydraulic hammering effect. And that's a really good way to have the pipe not exist anymore, especially when you're moving super chilled propellants through it, like densified LOX or liquid methane. Yeah, there's bends in the pipe on purpose to basically slow it down. Think about like a chicane on a racetrack. Same thing. You don't want to go too fast into a corner. If you live in an older house, if you go to like shut a faucet off, like if you turn a faucet on, it starts going, or turn a shower on and then you turn it off really fast, if you hear that's hydraulic hammering. Older houses don't take that design into account. Newer houses do, so you don't get a hammer effect. If it makes that straining noise that sounds like the wall is going to explode, that's a hydraulic hammer. That's just with water. With liquid oxygen or liquid methane, nope, don't want that. So we should hammer fuel into a rocket? Yeah, goalie, yeah, you go ahead and do that. Do we know if this tower will still be used? I don't know, Trey. It's hard to say.
Tower. It is part of these transfer lines that have now been removed from the launch site, and the scraps of that are in fact now stacked to one.
Actually, they're scrapping it. And Trey, I'll tell you, if they're scrapping it, probably not. Unless they're redoing their entire commodity system here. I'm telling you, man, I have a feeling that pad's going to get disassembled. I mean, you know how I feel about this. I think they're going to put it on 39A. I think SpaceX wants to use 39A, like, and get Falcon off of 39A permanently. The reason why I think that is because you need a flame trench for Starship. You need a big flame trench for Starship. And SpaceX has one at their disposal. It's right there. See those? Yeah, see these? The handrails right there. There's a huge flame trench in there. I mean, Trey, like I said, it ain't no coincidence, right? It ain't a coincidence that pad B at Starbase is just happens to be the same width as 39A. It just happens to be the same. I don't think that's a coincidence, dude.
Inside. During this flyover, we also spotted a few excavators on site, which might indicate some
right,
ground
David?
work is
Yeah,
about to
exactly.
happen. Now, it wouldn't be surprising if what SpaceX ends up doing is a similar thing to what's going on at Starbase, where all the storage tanks for the tank farm are long horizontal tanks and all of the transfer lines are going underground. But another use for those excavators could be to build a flame trench for Starship, and I bet a bunch of you were just yelling at the screen, "It's for the flame trench!" With a launch mount part...
I said it wasn't, Alex. Also, Flame Trench, Fridays at 5. It's a good time. I'm already signed up for it.
Parts that we've seen at Roberts Road being very much the same as the parts for the launch mount for Pad B at Starbase, it stands to reason to think that perhaps everything else might change accordingly. That is to say, we might see
that thing is
SpaceX
freaking
build a
gigantic.
flame trench at 39A, just like they're doing at Starbase for Pad B. Right now there are no signs of such work, but we'll keep an eye on subsequent flyovers and of course through our Space Coast Live 24/7 stream. Now,
So back it up a little bit. Back it up a little bit, dudes. Let's get back to those bigger pictures. Like these zoomed out pictures. So, interesting thing here. Why would they be getting rid of the commodity lines that go to the tower, but not any of the other methane paraphernalia? They're just getting rid of the lines. They're keeping all this, right? The subcoolers are still there. See them right there? See the thing that looks like a pasta noodle right there? It's hard to see on the screen, but... So, Trey, you asked, are they going to use that tower? I don't think so. I really don't. Them destroying the commodity lines is a pretty damn good indicator of, and getting rid of the LOX tank is a damn good indicator of what I think's going on here. I think they're going to attempt to take this, if they haven't already poured the damn concrete in this thing. They're going to take this, and they're going to put it over here eventually. I think that they're going to eventually retool Slick 30. SpaceX is going to retool Slick 37 and move the entire transporter erector, take this whole thing and put it at Slick 37. Quick and easy, right? Minimal Falcon Heavy downtime. And then that opens up 39A with its big honking flame trench to be utilized for Starship. Makes sense, right? You know, Alex just said a second ago, like they haven't started digging stuff up for the flame trench for 39A. It's because it already exists. It's right there. Right? That's just a theory. I can't prove it, but I think that's what's going on. Alex probably disagrees with me, but whatever.
they're doing at Starbase.
That's right, Bob. Yep.
Right now there are no signs of such work, but we'll keep an eye on subsequent flyovers and of course through our Space Coast Live 24/7 stream. Now, while all of this Starship work is going on, SpaceX is still keeping 39A busy with Falcon.
Yep.
In fact, this flyover was performed just a few hours after the SXM-9 launch and is soon going to have another launch from there later this week.
That was last week. The flyover
happened so soon after launch that on the LOX tank farm for Falcon, the subcooler was still frosty and venting after having supported that launch.
Cool.
By the way, in that picture, there looks...
Is there a VIF in the way at 39? Yeah, of course there is, Hibbit. So... you could just transport Starship on an SPMT or right around the dang thing. You don't need the crawlerway. We know that SpaceX isn't using the VAB. My VAB theory is unfortunately RIP. NASA decided to retain High Bay 1 for Artemis operations, which is good. Because that means High Bay 1 is going to get it retooled for SLS Block 1B. Once again, strongly indicating that NASA wants to try and ramp SLS operations even right now, that's good. That's a good thing. That's what we want. 2 high bays to build SLS is enough to support a cadence of 4 a year, which is what I think NASA needs to strive for. I've talked many times about that, just giving you some context. You know what would be cool? 39C, like an actual another one of these pads thrown. Yeah, I agree. What about high bay 3 and 4? High bay 3 is where they build SLS Block 1. Jim. High Bay 2 is for SLS core, final assembly and processing. High Bay 4 is for SRB processing and storage. And then High Bay 1 is going to be retooled for SLS in the future. They didn't say that for sure. They said it's going to be retooled for future Artemis operations. I don't know what that means, but it's got to be SLS. So the 2 back high bays at the VAB are for core stage assembly and processing, SRB assembly and processing. And then the 2 front high bays, if they retool them, would be for SLS, for SLS stacking operations. Once again, that could support, theoretically, that could support up to 12 launches a year. Actually, the highest that 2 high bays have supported with a stacking operation like this is 9. That's the record. shuttle program, 1985. It launched 9 times during that year. That's the fastest. That's the fastest the VAB has ever gone, ever. That was faster than the Apollo program. So that's your theoretical maximum there. Considering stacking time, I would assume that stacking the orbiter probably takes a little bit longer, but it also could be a little bit shorter because it's less steps. But either way, I'd say anything 4 would be fine. So send one launcher out with a stack, launch it, send it back. While that one is doing its thing, build the second one, right? And then send the other one out, bring the empty ML back, put it back in high bay 3, send a completed stack out of 1, launch that, send it back, and then do that 2 more times throughout the year. Four launches a year launch cadence for SLS is more than enough to recoup the cost that we endured on it. We just got to want to do that. But you've heard me say that 1,000 times. That was the idea with the VAB. The idea with the VAB is that you're always building and launching at the same time. You can support building and launch operations at the same time because you utilized mobile launchers. It's designed to be scaled. It's really designed to be scaled. Like, once again, you could scale theoretically to 12 with 2 high bays. You could scale to 24 if you had 4 high bays just for stacking, but SLS doesn't want to do that. They're using 2 of them for SRB storage and processing. Or one of them for SRB storage and processing, and one of them for core stage final assembly and processing. Core stage 2 is testing the processing stool actually right now for future core stage SLS processing at high bay 3 or high bay 4 or 2, excuse me. So yeah, just in case anybody cared.
Looks to be an excavator nearby, coincidentally at an area where space.
Question, is the area where the Saturn V flight termination system assembler was kept right by where the crawlerway splits between 39A and 39B? Yes. Is it currently being used for Artemis stuff? No. Because if not, maybe SpaceX can build something for Starship there and use the crawlerway that way. Yes, theoretically possible, NG. You'd have to move the HIF, but SpaceX don't care. They've scrapped flight test articles. They don't give a frick. Nothing is sacred with that damn company, dude. Like, how many Falcon 9s have been expended versus old Falcon 9 hardware going in museums, right? SpaceX don't care. Nothing is sacred. If it's in the way, scrap it.
But you never know. And at SpaceX's other launch.
Is it easy to say that the mobile launchers are the bottlenecks? Good fella, at this particular moment of time, December 10th, 2024, I would say with SLS core, the only thing that's really standing in the way from SLS core ramping is RS-25 production. That's going to be where you're really going to have to start spending. But so, like, the idea is that you take the development costs for SLS for the core stage, right? You don't need to develop anything. The core stage is already developed. 5-segment boosters already developed, right? Even into the BOLE program, you have carbon composite SRBs coming down the pipe in the production chain for SLS by the time 1B rolls around. So SRB is good. You just firm fixed price that, firm fixed price the core stage, get L3 Harris to get off their tail and build more rocket engines. We're going to need a serious ramp, but SpaceX and Blue have shown that you can ramp propulsion. It's going to be expensive, but you can ramp. So you move to fixed price procurement for the parts of SLS that are already at a high TRL, high technology readiness level. And then you really move the money around, the allocation around. You allocate the money in the places where it needs, which is what Rook has talked about in the past for NASA. He says NASA needs better capital allocation, which is, once again, that's why I think he's going to renegotiate the SLS contracts and fix everything and get the Artemis program to be a respectable lunar program. But once again, finish this and then we'll get to hearts.
Complex 40 launches continue to happen at an unprecedented pace, making it the world's busiest launch pad. And yet, in all that busyness, SpaceX has decided that it was a great place to put an extended Falcon fairing to one side of the complex. We're not sure why they did this, but it's certainly cool that we can now see how an extended Falcon fairing looks like.
Falcon Heavy fairing.
I cannot wait to see it fly. whenever that is. Of course, at the Space Coast, there are a bunch more launch sites where activity is starting.
Wow, look at them clear LC-14. Alex will say it, I'm sure, in a second here, but LC-14 is where Mercury Atlas took place. John Glenn, first American into orbit, right there. That's pretty cool. Forgive me, how's that compared to New Glenn's fairing? Cirrus, it's about the same height, but a smaller width, if I'm understanding that correctly. Could be wrong. Yeah, if they demolish the blockhouse, I'm going to be pissed.
To pick up, such as Stoke Space's Launch Complex 14. The company is quickly working towards the first launch.
How much longer do they need the bay for Block 1? Weather Guy, I would get ML2 completely made and start assembling SLS Block 1Bs before I started retooling High Bay 3. But in order to do that, I would want High Bay 1. I would start... They're probably not doing anything because administration change. But if I were NASA at this point, I would start procuring the launch tables that you need to retool High Bay 1 into a bay that's capable of servicing ML2 and SLS Block 1B. And here's what I would do. All the paraphernalia that you need, some of it is similar because SLS Block 1 and SLS Block 1B have basically from the core stage down are exactly the same for the most part. A lot of it you should have already procured, which is kind of dumb. They should have retooled 2 high bays at once. There's no way that was going to be twice as expensive, right? But you could always just go to Jacobs and say, I need another set of these, right? And then for the Block 1B components, so from like the core stage up, EUS components, EUS umbilical, the EUSU umbilical, Orion, universal stage adapter, all those servicing gantries, order 2 sets of them. So you can retool 2 high bay. You could retool 1, you build out 1, use the second set to retool high bay 3, right? How this is supposed to work is slow and steady procurement, right? So this way, because you're spending money in bits and pieces, right? Over time, you slowly build to a more complete space program. Because apparently we don't have the political power, speaking in Hearts of Iron terms, we don't have the PP to be able to retool the entire VAB at once, which I think is dumb. Cope.
Launch of their fully
Yeah,
reusable
no problem with
Nova
it.
rocket
Fun thought.
in
Would Starship
2025.
Ops count as future
Recently,
Artemis
broke
operations?
ground at the
Maybe.
launch complex so that everything is ready for a
I can
launch
dream,
soon.
Aqualux.
As we reported a few flyovers ago, Stoke recently got a finding of no significant impact or FUNSI for its launchpad, which cleared the way for this work to start.
Yeah,
So it
that's
was
what
not a
14 is going to be
surprise.
retooled
It'll
for.
be exciting to see this historic launch site, which hosted the orbital flights of the Mercury program, get a second life hosting a modern 21st century fully
Godspeed,
reusable
John
rocket.
Glenn.
Meanwhile, Relativity is also on its own continuing work at their launch site, Launch Complex 16. This pad is expected to support launches of their upcoming Terran R rocket, which is planned to be partially reusable. From this distance on our flyover, it's quite hard to see exactly all of the groundwork that's going on, but it looks like foundations for the new hangar to accommodate Terran R's larger size may be underway. As for the launch pad itself, it seems that the focus is on the flame trench foundations. At the same time, ULA also continues with the expansion of its Spacecraft Processing and Operations Center, and yes, that's SPOC, which is being upgraded to be a second vertical integration facility for Vulcan.
Very
With this
logical.
second facility, ULA aims to be able to ramp up Vulcan's launch cadence in order to support launches of Amazon's Kuiper constellation. And of course, another big piece of launch hardware being worked on at the Space
See that?
Coast has...
They should be building 2 of those right now. For real. Build 2 of them. You should be building a direct copy of that right here on this bay. The reason why, once again, you're not using Block 1 forever. And Artemis should not be using 1 mobile launcher. You can't support a sustainable lunar program with 1 mobile launcher. Because that means you can't stack the vehicle and launch the vehicle at the same time. It defeats the entire point of what Complex 39 was built for. Right? They should be building another one. Hopefully it's not $1 billion this time around.
being the mobile launcher 2 for NASA's SLS program. The Exploration Ground Systems team recently brought a new crane to aid on the construction of the launch tower that will go on this platform. The crane in particular is a DMAG CC8800, and if that sounds familiar to you, it's because that's the same crane model as the one that was used to build the second Starship launch tower at Starbase. Some even rumor it might even be the same one that was recently dismantled at the South Texas site.
Yep.
The thought of a crane that just
crane.
put together a Starship launch tower, now also putting together a launch tower for SLS, is definitely chuckle-inducing.
And that wraps up this month's Cape Flyover. It's going to be...
That's awesome. Yep. Yeah, they should be building 2 of these right now. There should be another one being built right here. Demolish this stupid Quonset hut and build another one. Or use cell number 1 right there, which still has a shuttle mobile launcher platform on it, which is... They already scrapped the other 2. Why are you hanging onto that one for? Hey, Keith, what's going on, man? Well, like I said, Bechtel gonna Bechtel, but fellas, any company is set up to fail with that contracting structure because you're designing a mobile launcher for a rocket that ultimately doesn't exist. You're designing it for a rocket that doesn't exist where weight constraint is at play. The crawler way and the crawler transporters can only hold so much. 16 million pounds is their upper limit, and SLS is going to be taking up 8 million of that. So Bechtel simultaneously had to build the strongest and also the lightest mobile launcher and launch umbilical tower that's NASA's ever asked anyone to make. Solid rocket boosters are heavy. What do you want? Geef, 19-month resub. What's up, dude? For the history of it, goalie, you know what? I'm sick of heaps. Oh, the history of it. Dude, if it's in the way, just get rid of it. Like, bro, they already ruined the legacy of the VAB. You already, in 39, you already did that because you sold one of the damn launch pads, all right? Just get rid of it. Just get rid of it and build a new one. Build a new damn legacy, all right? And I'm saying that as somebody that wants to preserve spaceflight hardware. But what the heck are you going to do with that? What are you going to do with it? It just sits there. What are you going to do? Launch another shuttle on it? That's not happening. We decided a long time ago that that's not happening. Basically, both sides are to blame in that one, not to diminish the blame on either side. Bechtel gonna Bechtel Aqualex, but also it's an ass contract. Yeah, NASA's... Dude, somebody that knows how to allocate funds correctly could have gotten that contract, and it still would have spiraled out of control. Because you can't design a launch pad for a rocket that doesn't exist. The mobile launchers were built during the Apollo program while the Saturn V was being developed. You can develop them at the same time, right? Because both designs can be in flux, but you can't build a mobile launcher for a rocket that doesn't exist. Sorry, you can't. Especially when weight constraints are at play. But also Bechtel gonna Bechtel. Yeah, absolutely. They cut up, yeah, that goalie, that's what I'm talking about. Guys, there were, this right here, that shuttle mobile launcher platform was one of 3. Those 3 shuttle mobile launcher platforms, or shuttle MLPs, were converted from the Apollo program. They were Apollo mobile launchers. And yes, before you ask, they scrapped the one that launched Apollo 11 because... I don't know, NASA's run by idiots? I don't know what you want. Like, yeah, not cool. So that's why I said, just get rid of it. Who cares? Who freaking cares? Clearly nothing is sacred. Like, just freaking get rid of it. Just scrap the damn thing. Like, what if we find out the moon is actually an alien superstructure and we need to take the shuttle out of the museum to fly at the moon to save the world? Sounds like a bad movie. Yeah, Hellfish, it's unacceptable. Unacceptable. Scrapping Apollo hardware is bad, okay? You shouldn't scrap Apollo hardware. We may need it for an asteroid. That sounds like a bad movie. Sounds like a bad movie. All right. Cool. I hope you guys enjoyed the NSF flyover. Please go over there and support NASA Spaceflight. That is part of a spaceflight outfit that I am a part of. And you got to support my boys over there. They do a good job. So I'm gonna link it up. Go over there, like, subscribe, super chat over there. They're good people, and they do a damn good job. Make sure you're over there supporting them. It's a privilege being able to show you this here on Twitch, but you should go support them on YouTube. Stream ending? No. No. We got Hearts of Iron, dude. Hearts of Iron for after hours, baby. Expand the VAB to 8 bays. Andrew, I like you. Oh yeah, the VAB is supposed to be scalable. You could add, they put in the provisions to add another two high bays here. Yeah. That's why the crawler way goes all the way out here and around, because the VAB, the Apollo engineers figured that 4 bays wouldn't be enough for sustainable lunar exploration and a solar system exploration. So they were gonna, what they planned on doing was expand it all the way over here. You could basically duplicate the dang thing. Yep. Yeah, also the VAB is scalable upwards. Yeah, you can make it taller. There's a bunch of, if you look at a picture of the VAB, there's a bunch of posts coming out of the top. No, it's not a railing. That's there. Those are flanges to be able to extend the height of the VAB. Very similar to, if we go to Alex's talk right here about ULA with the Spock. Where are you? Yeah, it's in there somewhere. Very similar to what they were doing there. They were optimists. No, they weren't optimists. They were engineers. You build what you need. High bay expansion, you taught me that. Yeah, it's the building is designed to be scalable up and to the side. That's why the crawlerway loops all the way around. You could basically add 4 more high bays to the design. Yeah. Also, I mean, the other thing is that everybody knows that 39A is scalable. The pad complex is scalable. They originally envisioned 5 pads. If you look right here, this is complex 39, right? If you look right here, they put in provisions to build the 3rd pad, but never did. There was supposed to be a 3rd one out here. So you would have had, actually, believe it or not, in the original architecture, this was 39E. That was 39D. 39C was supposed to be right here. 39B was supposed to be right here, and 39A was supposed to be right there. There was supposed to be 3 more up here. That's also the reason why the Launch Control Center has 1, 2, 3, 4 firing rooms. Dude, they weren't screwing around. The Apollo program was nuts. Really cool. Dude. It's in the past. Trying not to turn this into soapbox hour. Okay. Time for hearts, baby. Let's go. You guys know the drill. Thank you for watching Space News. If you're watching on the YouTube side of things, if you appreciate what I'm doing here, obviously like, comment, and subscribe. God, it kills me inside saying that unironically. Now, seriously, if you like the topics that we're talking about here, talk about it in the comments section. I'm always down for discussion. I usually read the comments the next day while I'm taking a dump. What? I have a routine, man. I stick to it, okay? Jeez. I'm not sorry. I'm not going to apologize for that. Just know that if you do leave a comment, I'm probably going to read it while I'm on the toilet. See, if we're gonna do the like, comment, and subscribe thing, I'm going to take myself and the like, comment, and subscribe thing down a peg or two. All right, boom. All right. Anyway, on the YouTube side of things, that's gonna do it for Space News. I hope you guys did appreciate it. I will see you later. If you're on Twitch, just stay here. I'll be back for hearts momentarily.